Project Moon has been absolutely popping off lately due to their game
Limbus Company!
As a feral enjoyer of Project Moon myself, if you can't tell by the several videos I've made custom scenarios for, I have been surprised again and again about how many people did not realize that
Limbus Company!
is the third in the series. Yeah. Like, you know the game Lobotomy Corporation, or L Corp, that gets mentioned constantly? That's its own game. And for those who haven't taken the Project Moon pill, don't worry, I'll get you up to speed. The first game of the series is called Lobotomy Corporation. For those who enjoy SCPs, you'll enjoy the hell out of this game. And for those who have no idea what an SCP is, imagine monsters with rules that if you don't follow, the entire world explodes. So how do you find out about those rules? By exploding the world several times and then going back to the past like your Samurai Jack. Gotta get back to the past, Samurai Jack. Jack. Lobotomy Corporation's entire idea was pretty simple. You see those big monsters over there? Let's make money off that. And instead of becoming furry artists, they made the first monster power plant. You are the manager of that power plant, and have several wonderful coworkers who are completely mentally stable and have no trauma that will turn them into monsters of themselves whatsoever. It combines cute characters with dark themes, which is something a lot of games just haven't done at the time. It's also really hard. No, seriously, there's a god in this game, yes, a god, who, if you don't pay attention to enough and tell him he's a pretty special boy every 30 fucking seconds, he will kill a bunch of your people, turn them into mini bosses, and ruin your entire run. Also, apparently he has something to do with Jesus. Fuck you, Monster Jesus. Let me enjoy my goddamn game. So, without spoiling too much, you also have an assistant, Angela, who is a robot. She perceives everything 100 times slower than any human, and every time you lose and have to restart, she lives throughout all of that. Yeah, imagine being in her shoes and having to watch someone mess up 1,000 times and all being in slow motion. So after 50 days, she says, nope, I'm not dealing with this anymore, and tries to take the controls from you. She actually topples your entire reign using that light that you somehow generated, and takes your entire facility into another dimension where she turns it into a library. Yeah, don't ask me to explain that. The Project Moon writers can somehow make a cup of coffee into a 17-page essay, so understanding it anymore would melt our brains. Just accept it and move on. Anyway, that gets us to Library of Ruina. This is the second game in the series, and it is truly a work of art. But it's only a bump in the road to
Limbus Company!
Right? Look, I don't know what clickbait title I used. I probably said something along the words of Best Game and Project Moon somewhere in there, but that's
Limbus Company!
Right? I mean, you've been shouting it every time. Well, no.
Limbus Company!
Is a fun game, and at the time of recording this, is still being made. I'm also incredibly glad that it has expanded the project fan. Moonbase. Moonbase? Moonbase. We're going with it. It's Moonbase now. Editor, this isn't in the script, it's right there. You know what? Take a little sticky note, slap it on there. It's a Moonbase now. That's their fan base. But it is not the single greatest thing that has ever been molded by human hands. That would be Library of Ruina, and I cannot stress this enough. I will not be normal talking about this. I simply refuse. This is such a fun experience, and if you're worried about playing the games in order, they all pretty much have their own self-contained story. But Lobotomy Corporation was really hard. Now, one of the cool things about Library of Ruina is it was almost bad. See, Project Moon has a history of taking something and refining it into gold. Library of Ruina was one of those games. The visuals here don't feel engaging, and it feels like these silly little sprites are just like not great. If you look at the earlier levels of
Limbus Company!
you can also notice them struggling to take it in the direction that feels engaging. But once they do, it is an ultimate experience that has been formed. Okay. Enough. Let's get into the meat. Let's open the game. And this is how good the game is. YouTube actually wants to nerf it. I'll keep it short. There are songs made by the creator Millie. Those songs cannot be put in a YouTube video without repercussions, and editors and thumbnail artists gotta eat. It hurts my damn soul to have to leave them out, but I don't want you, the viewer, to feel left out. So I'll leave links to each song and tell you when to play them. It's scuffed, but we hate corporations. They fuck up everything. We hate corpos. We hate corpos. We hate corpos. Anyway, play the first one now. The visuals, the foreshadowing, the beauty. Already you have this gripping intro. Why is this guy on strings? What are they all dancing to? What's an electric sheep? I don't know. Also, on the heavier end of the game, if you've ever been distressed, devastated, traumatized, or just had a really bad day, get ready to do some soul searching. And if you're not on that list, don't worry, there is one boss hard enough in this game to make grown men cry in frustration. I would know. Now we get to your main character, Roland. He's your average, cool, unemployed male who has serious issues with depression. Fucking relatable. Anyway, he stumbled into the library and didn't know where he was. Angela, your robot AI buddy from the first game, finds him and asks him a couple of questions. And since they're both inept at having a conversation, she cuts off each of his limbs and kills him. And yeah, that's the end of the game. Except no, Angela uses her new priest light powers to cast Revive. She brings the fella back from the dead, and guess what? You're now part of the light. What is the light? Who the fuck knows? It's some kind of Kingdom Hearts level confusion. All you need to know, it's super powerful, sought after, and can do a lot of cool stuff. And because your body is made out of it, now you can't leave the library. So congratulations, slavery! Yep, that's what you are now. You now have to listen to this cold, unfeeling robot or you will die. That will teach you to wander into a place with books, you literate son of a bitch. So congrats on your first character. You'll now have to receive guests. Guests are people brought in by the invitation, which are given out by the magical fuck you powers of the light to people that need what the library offers. That being said, it doesn't offer much right now, so it goes out to the few people that are down on their luck. Welcome to the city. The world sucks and these beggars are killing a passerby and trying to harvest their organs without getting caught. People don't know how expensive it is to be poor, man. They had to run off to avoid whatever justice finds itself in the back streets. They find the invitation and argue amongst themselves that they may need to rob the library for some books to sell. When they sign in, congrats, they are now in the library. They will get whatever awards they seek if they manage to beat the librarians that guard the secrets. And that's you! Go slave number 1, kill those guests! So if the music and visuals aren't enough to convince you, welcome to the gameplay. You set up cards for each character and those cards roll dice to fight enemies. That being said, the backstreet racks are a pretty easy cleanup. And now you've turned them into books. Congratulations! You can now harvest their very essence and become them. From their moves to their outfits, you get it all. And Angela says that she believes this is the right way to go about harvesting people. The invitation they are given says that they can get books if they overcome the librarians. If they win, they get books and all the precious information inside of them. If they fail, they become a book themselves and it shows their entire life. There is no coercion in having them sign. They can make their own choice and pay accordingly. A policy I actually really agree with. Look, the game will further go into, whoa, which is really right, and is anyone really without coercion? But I still find that this is all fair. It's like a higher stakes of gambling, and this is totally not projecting years upon years of repeated trauma from one of the main characters by any means, right? Right? And so you need more people. To recruit more people, you now have to fight monsters from the facility Angela was once trapped in that are now trapped in books. Then use those monsters for your own gain. I must say again, we are not reenacting our own trauma by any means at all. When you beat the monsters, they then help you. But that isn't all. Eventually you will unlock floors filled with precious allies that will manage their own floors of the library. Malkuth is the first such ally and was an employee during Lobotomy Corporation. She is now locked under the same chains you are. Fucking companionship, let's go. We also get a bit more of an idea of the city, which is the world around us. There are a ton of fixers, which are basically mercenaries that join syndicates, which are basically groups. These fixers try again to invade your library, and there are all sorts of different colors of individuals that will raid you at the start. But don't feel bad, most of them are just cold-hearted murderers that tortures others for fun, so it's morally right, or whatever. Ethics are just perspectives that hadn't had to make difficult decisions yet. So into the meat grinder with all of you, we need more books! We also learn a little bit more about Angela. See, the term robot can be a little bit tricky. Humans that have limb replacements? That's a prosthetic. People that have their brain in a robotic body? That's a cyborg. Angela is fully machine, which is banned by the head. She may have an electronic copy of a human's brain, but she is 100% machine, which is banned. So who enforces this? Well, the head, which is a scary group that rules over the entire city. Luckily, you'll never have to face them. While it should worry the hell out of him, Roland doesn't care that Angela is an AI. This is this and that is that, as he loves to say. It means, who the hell cares? It's also a really easy way to justify dumb things because it makes you sound smart in your head. Oh, Roland, you're still going through your edgy teen phases, huh? I bet you wear gloves to hide the power trapped inside your hand, don't you, little buddy? Here's the thing, though. Angela notices that Roland isn't terrified of death despite how easily he can be decapitated. There is something more motivating him, and despite his meek willingness to help, Angela has been in a place for years with people breaking down from fear. This isn't his only motivation, and she demands to know what else drives him. And he responds in turn by saying there are a lot of things he wants to know about this place too. See, Angela's goal is to gather all of the information in the city and make a perfect book. Roland says that in that, there's plenty to be gained, and it beats being a bum now that he's, washed up as a fixer. So their motivations now line up. While you're grinding away, your library eventually gets upgraded to Urban Myth. Kind of like a bounty board, but you're the target for elimination. You're like a 2-star, so noob adventurers will come and try their luck. Your bounty also isn't high enough for those with actual power to care. As you continue to grow the library, you unlock the ability to speak to the other staff. They are people who were originally served in Lobotomy Corporation as staff, and for one reason or another, they're now here. Most seem quite hostile to Angela for one reason or another, but they still help the library. Roland, being the laid-back guy that he is, tends to get along with everyone anyway. A little bit too much sometimes. My god, they really want yaoi drawn at this moment, don't they? Let me fix your tie, senpai. Oh man, you've got such big hands kind of moment, I swear. In the early levels, remember that you are on the bounty board that is equivalent to goblins. This means that only desperate offices of low rank care enough to raid you. Hell, one of them even sacrifices a kid. One of the cool things though, Roland knew a lot of them. To bring things in perspective, Roland is a 9th grade fixer, lowest of all the ranks. So to know so many of them shows that even the lowest of the low can share much knowledge if they survive long enough. As you continue to level up your library, Roland admits that all of his family had passed away. Rather, he was raised by his grandmother, who had since disappeared one day. There's more, but he really doesn't want to say. Roland asks more about Angela's goal as well. She says that all of the information in all of the books combined will create the ultimate book, which will lead her to freedom. The freedom to forget all of her past traumas that stick so readily in her mind. She is a robot, and so she is probably reliving all of those memories in her head every freaking moment. She also mentions the inability to leave the library until she has accomplished that book. Roland asks if that's the only reason that you're going through with this, as though you needed much more of a reason than literal freedom, but he's actually half right. See, she wants to live a new life. She was never able to leave her original prison at Lobotomy Corporation, and she wants to get out of here and see the world. And get a little revenge on the way. But revenge on who? Well, the person and the god-awful world who made them what they are today. Only after she has completely destroyed every single thing that he meant to achieve in Lobotomy Corporation will her goal be realized. By sending out these invitations in the library, she can get a book that will grant her wishes. How they're granted is beyond her. And in all seriousness, it sounds like you're just kind of going with the flow and trying to utilize powers she doesn't completely understand. I mean, every time during the game she's asked about it, she's just like, I don't know, library stuff, man. Books and all, follow them, invitation, power, big book, containing the world, without actually knowing how any of it actually works. And even Roland points this out. You want to find this big fancy book, but you don't have any idea how it'll actually help you achieve freedom? And Angela responds with more cryptic talk about her being at the end of her journey while being led by the invitation. It is later reiterated that none of the residents of the library can leave, similar to Angela. And honestly, Angela doesn't seem to really mind this new prison in comparison to our other one. Rather than replaying, the same script over and over and over, this has fresh new ones with new faces and more people and knowledge. Still, she says it's frustrating that she has to go to such lengths to achieve these things. Roland says that if she ever makes her dream a reality, he will gladly take them to a restaurant with a mean meat stew. Though he does kind of forget she is a robot, there are plenty of other places that they can go and visit. She actually doesn't mind this, and little by little you can start to see that awkward relationship of initially forcing yourself into servitude leaning towards friendship. This is only made real because of Roland's calm and free will attitude. Although he's stuck here, he is going to make the most of it and doesn't mind befriending Angela. He may be able to achieve something when this book comes into reality after all, and you might as well be part of something greater than yourself than being a washed up fixer who drifts from place to place. This is this and that is that after all. So you ranked up before, and now you're peeking into the inner workings of a few syndicates. There you learn of an interesting event called the distortion phenomenon. This is an anomaly that happens throughout the entire city ever since an event called White Night and Darkest Days. This has even made people turn seemingly random into monsters. This began with a monster called the Pianist, who killed 80% of the entire district's population, and that's big. It was so big that they had to dispatch the Colors to deal with them, whatever the hell that means. It was also worth noting that Lobotomy Corporation as a whole disappeared during this time. Some of these associations believe that the library was one of the main keys to understanding this phenomenon. This is why the current Fixer Syndicate is going after you, because if anyone can transform anytime, nothing is safe, which makes their jobs as bodyguards really hard to do. And after seeing this, Roland asked Angela, who would know best, if all of these events are really connected. Angela was cryptic and avoided the question. Well, kinda. Really what she said is, oh, what would it change if all of those things are connected? Nothing. Do your work. But after the battle, Angela begins answering those questions that she avoided before. The library's actual location is the source of White Night and Darkest Days. She has no real information on the phenomena that happened after it, though. She further begins to explain her situation that she was made against the AI ethic laws and was never able to make her own decisions, despite looking human and being made to feel emotions. She had to read the same script for over 1 million years until everything in that script went perfect to finish a single project. She replayed that same script over and over and over for 10,000 years. And finally, once that never-ending script concluded, that's when White Night and Darkest Days began. This is basically what people call distortions. Ordinary people who are emotional turn into monsters. Someone get them a Care Bear. One of the biggest distortions, though, was the Pianist, who originally started all of this. Roland thanks Angela for opening up, even though it was a sensitive topic for her. He says it wasn't too shocking, considering the monsters in the book did have a similar vibe to them, and Angela must have really been through a lot. You know, this must have meant a lot to Angela. We don't yet know the full extent of what Angela has gone through, but she had to look over the entirety of Lobotomy Corporation with other several staff members. Being a full robot must have been quite isolating, but it is also hinted that there are plenty of other things that forge this isolation. While they may no longer be in Lobotomy Corporation, the trials that they went through surely left lasting marks on all of them, and no doubt they blame Angela for her part in them. But time has passed, and it gives people the ability to gain perspective. Although when you put a bunch of severely traumatized people in one room, you aren't exactly expecting the most productive conversations all the time. So having someone acknowledge her own struggles for once must have felt really good. Roland actually is exactly what Angela needs in a friend right now. Someone that, despite the power dynamic, she can trust. And in fact, without that power dynamic, she may have never been able to really open up to him. It is a toxic relationship for sure, but this moment is one of the many that shows how much Roland wants to befriend Angela, and despite her initial cold nature, Angela needed that friend in her path to becoming more human. But I also mentioned the other librarians, the one Angela felt alienated from. This is both because of the script and Angela herself. While Angela remains a very cold and distant character, Roland is anything but. He has a job to do, and he'll have to interact with everyone kind of a lot. Malkuth, who is one of your fellow librarians, mentions that this is actually everyone's third life. The librarians were brains kept in robotic bodies during their second lives. She was very much so a human and made mistakes and let people down. So she struggled so hard, never leaning on others. She wants to be told she's doing well, so strong, so useful as a person. And what Malkuth wanted most in life was recognition, and she died with those struggles. When she was reborn in her robotic body in Lobotomy Corporation, eventually she was able to vent out those frustrations and find redemption for her first life and her second, even if it was hellish in Lobotomy Corporation. To which Roland is absolutely baffled. This is the city. There are literally cannibals that will make you into a pie. People rip out guts for a living. Others will betray you in a heartbeat. Who the hell would go through such extent, not only to revive you, but put you in a position where you can fulfill that lump in your heart? And just for that, Malkuth says it was all just to find redemption, and Angela, who was a peeping Tom in this conversation, said, "Nah, you wrong, and you ugly." The head of Lobotomy Corporation used them, every single one of them, including Angela, for his own goals. He doesn't care about the people that he slaughtered. He didn't care about you. He used you. He used everyone. And that's when you're given a brief flashback of Lobotomy Corporation when the light was achieved. It shows the other librarians in their robotic body fighting with Angela, and Angela says she will take the light for herself to carve her own path. The rest fight against her, saying it isn't hers to take. It's brief, but it gives you a look back into events that elude even the player. Angela says that Malkuth should accept their new life. Malkuth said that she gave her life for humanity, for a greater cause. And so Angela calls her an idiot and leaves. Malkuth gave both of her previous lives away to try and save humanity. She'll do it again if it makes a difference. They withstood all of those hardships for the sake of humanity, and she doubts herself and starts asking Roland, does she look like an idiot to him too? To which he really doesn't have enough details to say much, especially with the whole saving humanity thing. But if it's what you hope for, who is he to judge? This is this and that is that. Okay, now that we've given you a bit of a backdrop of the lore, it's time to tell you that almost this is the real start of the game. See, up to this point, you've dealt with Randy Randoms, a bunch of no-name offices that have no real worth. So worthless that they're not even really worth showing. But now we're getting into the real meat and potatoes. This is the Zwei Association, which is filled with the previously mentioned nothings. That being said, you killed enough of their members to now you're facing Walter. And while Walter isn't particularly powerful, he's a fan favorite for a lot of people in Library of Ruina on account of his unique attributes. See, Walter is the director, and the slogan of his association is Your Shield. It is to protect his clients, so naturally he has an ability to buff defensive dice. And that is a rarity, and plus his name is Walter, which is just kind of fun to say. In combat, he isn't anything particularly special though, so you dispatch him pretty quickly, but remember him for later though, because he's kind of important. When killing him, it actually begins to expand your invitation map for the first time. Up till now, you were going in a straight line, but you're in the big leagues now. Well, the bottom of it anyway. See, up to this now, I've lore dumped a lot on you, and it can be a matter of, well, who cares? These floors all play the same. These characters are neat, but they don't feel unique. Well, funny enough, that may have been because of the developers. See, Project Moon isn't a AAA company, but gosh, if they aren't working their way there. Library of Ruina was in beta for quite a while. As a person who played it during the beta, I could tell you it was polished, and polished again as they went forward. They learned what didn't work at the beginning and made it even better as it went to the next step. And you can see it in
Limbus Company!
As well. They didn't know how to balance it initially, so some of the characters seemed kind of bland, and as they went into new waters, they were having to adjust, but over time, it became better and better and more refined. So when you go back to Library of Ruina, you just hit that line. They began rapidly experimenting, and this is where it begins to heat up and never stops, which is insanely rare for a game. Now, I could go over every single battle and the relationship between each character, but that would make this video several hours long, and man, I would yap and fangirl for most of it. Some of you may like that, but for others, my biggest thing is I don't want to rob you of this game. You only get to play it once and feel the pure joy of beating it once. You only get to enjoy the storyline for the first time once. This is where things get crazy and a lot of spoilers happen, and after the first major arc, you get locked into the story. I genuinely recommend stopping the video and going and playing it. Seriously. I don't care if you finish the video, finish this game before anything. That is how beautiful it is. And on the other hand, if you want to just enjoy the ride, welcome. It's about to be a hell of a one. And speaking of rides, how do you like trains? Well, let's talk about them. But this is my last warning to prepare your stomachs because we're about to fucking kick it up a notch, man. An office known as the Molar Office gets on a train, a warp train, a train that takes you wherever you want in 10 seconds. They're on the way to a job and chatting about it, and the other two passengers talk about how it's their first time getting on a train and they're a little bit nervous. Everyone boards the train and straps on in. The other passengers are obviously a couple and, clinging to one another out of fear. One of the members of the Muller office are grossed out by love and affection, gross. So they decide to take a nap while waiting on the train to take off. 1 hour later, they're woken up by one of the members. Apparently it's been an hour since the warp train was supposed to have taken off and everyone is really confused. 6 hours later. Everyone's growing hella impatient at this point. One of the members wants to break down the door, but the warnings say that you'll get sucked into space if you try and open the doors while it's in warp. 17 hours then. People are getting restless. They want to get out of their seatbelts, and man, let me tell you, I would too. Too many people close to me breathing up my air for too long a period of time, and now I can't nap? I would be pissed. Mary, one of the two sweethearts, who recommended they take the train, apologized, saying it's their fault for taking the train, and this has never happened ever. 31 hours in. Everyone is out of their seatbelts at this point, and 300 people are trapped in this train, and they are wondering what the hell is taking W Corp so long to fix this issue. But there's something even stranger. Despite being trapped for 31 hours, no one feels hungry or thirsty. Finally, the leader of the Molar office says, why not take a gamble? Now we're fucking talking. You know what? Nothing calms the spirits down like some blackjack. Oh, never mind. They're gonna use the invitation to the library. It teleports them to your library, and just like with everyone else, you kill them. But who cares? They aren't the protagonist of the story. They die, and that may have been a mercy. So let's get reacquainted with that couple. Mary and Tommy. Tommy, the weak, nervous fella that he is, passed out for several hours, and it is now day 10. That's a little bit more than a few hours. We know this because a lovely doctor known as, oh god, I cannot pronounce this, Jae-hyun. All right, we'll just call him Dr. J. And his nurse, Elena, tell us this. Tommy doesn't understand what's going on because the warp trains are only supposed to take 10 seconds. The nurse and doctor also don't know what's going on, but it's stranger that the W Corp hasn't shown up and done anything about this. A mistake like this would be fatal to their image. When it comes to corporations, image means everything. Tommy complains that they'll starve in this blasted train, to which the nurse informs him that he has had nothing to eat or drink for several days, and yet he doesn't feel hunger. That's right, in this space, you don't need to eat, and you don't need to drink. Tommy is, needless to say, still anxiety-ridden even knowing this, and Mary tries to give him some comfort. Tommy says he will remain by her side through this ordeal. Not that he has much of a choice, mind you. You know, it's kind of easy to say that while you're trapped in the middle of a train, you'll go ahead and, you know, stay with them, but, you know, the sentiment is kind of cute. 15 days pass, and Mary frighteningly is yelling at Tommy, who asks what the fuck is going on. It is bad. Real bad. The nurse, however, expected the current events. It seems something has happened to one of the next carriages over. A passenger begins screaming out, "Witness me!" in a psychotic state, a natural response for it being trapped in an enclosed space for more than 2 weeks. The passenger stabbed his own throat, but the worst part is what came next. The person was still alive. They struggled to speak out of their now open throat, causing poor Tommy to faint yet again. The next day, he awoke to the nurse in front of him. He began asking what happened to the person in the next carriage, and apparently they were put under quarantine in another carriage. Quarantine because they were still alive. Even with the severe damage to their arteries, the blood never fully separated from the body. It didn't smear over surfaces or scatter, but instead remained a cohesive mass attached to the body. And even more terrifying, the person remained conscious through all of it. The worst part is that the nurse believes this is only the beginning. Tommy and Mary will both have to remain strong for one another until help arrives. 30 days pass. 5 of the 30 carriages are now filled with people that have gone mad. Thanks to the doctor and nurse, the carriages around Tommy and Mary have remained strong through these tough times. Yeah, I bet she had some J in that satchel for Mary, if you know what I'm saying. They're gonna die. 93 days pass. Much like the last joke, it's getting bad. One at a time, these carriages fall into insanity. They believe the consistent pain will free them from their prison, or they play with the bodies of others like toys. They've accepted the pain in order to endure the trials of what must feel like infinite time. The cart with both Mary and Tommy struggle to keep their sanity. They don't want to lose themselves in this madness. And yet they may be seeping into that madness all on their own. They say they cling to the idea that they can endure this for eternity if they have each other. Even Mary wishes to not be separated from Tommy in this hell, and so the doctor and the nurse do their best to arm the people to fight the ones that have gone insane. And so 100 days have passed. Tommy is hesitating on whatever the nurse has offered. Mary urges him to reconsider. Whatever measures have been made to ensure that they can fight, Tommy is terrified of. Mary insists that if they're together forever, they can overcome any trial. Tommy needs more time. The nurse urges him, as they will need all the power that they can get, but they won't force him. 113 days pass. Tommy has finally readied himself. He's clearly frustrated, but he's backed into a corner. He doesn't want whatever's happening to the others to happen to Mary, so they give their consent, and the procedure begins. 120 days pass. Tommy, how are you feeling? I don't know, but I'm relieved. I can feel your heartbeat vividly. Me too. We'll never be apart again. 150 days pass. The nurse thanks the passengers for remaining so strong. Their love was able to overcome the adversity. It's also thanks to their new bodies that the doctor gave them. A fight was happening in another carriage and someone asked Tommy and Mary to deal with it, but they had never fought in their lives. The doctor insisted that their love for one another will surely invigorate their new body. "We'll trust you, doctor," they say as they both head out. 3,437 days have passed. Tommy and Mary are now speaking to one another, how fighting has become so easy. They can handle everything thanks to the doctor. The nurse welcomes them back to town, a town made of love, and Tommy and Mary are the new heroes of that town. 724,000 284 days pass. There is no Tommy or Mary anymore. They have reverted to a childlike state and become one in mind. Tom Mary. They now see the nurse and doctor as their own mother. Elena showed off their shiny new invitation to the library, and she gives it to the hulking mass known as Tom Mary, saying that they will get a prize if they can bring back any books. Oh boy. So needless to say, Roland is frightened as fucking hell considering the amount of time that was spent on that train, and Angela isn't too keen on the idea either. Roland wonders if their own sense of time is distorted outside of the library. What the fuck is going on, man? Angela insists only an hour has passed since they first started watching the fragments. And you can't really worry about that for too long because a giant fucking hulking mass and its town buddies are coming. And you know, the first wave actually goes pretty okay. They're terrifying, but they're not really that strong. And then comes one of your first super cool bosses, Tom Mary, complete with its own terrifying vague comment about when it drops below 50% HP. Okay, you know how I said that there was music track to listen to? This is number 2, and trust me, the creepy vibes are worth it. So you start the battle and oh god, the entire terrain changes and it has its own music. Welcome to the piece of art that is the storytelling in this game. The song plays throughout the entire fight and it is on loop, and man, if it isn't a good one. It talks about the struggle of being able to commit to a relationship and how it can turn toxic from external pressures. Or everyone on your cart, including your lover, gaslighting you into becoming a flesh monster with them. Really, life is about perspective. The artist whose beautiful voice paints a picture is known as Millie, and they do a majority of the music in this game. The cutesy vibes with this, along with you being forced to face this absolute horror show in front of you, hits just right. And I mean, the line in here is so good. The excitement that we mistake for love. Ooh, so many beautiful lines in their music. And it is but a brushstroke in the beautiful painting that is Library of Ruina. This is what it means to join the big leagues. There are horrors you will face that this is your first true taste of Library of Ruina. The boss fight does not disappoint either, and it can be really difficult if you are unprepared. Something that will become a commonality moving forward. The challenges you face will not get easier. In fact, it does not even slope properly. They are a vertical line in difficulty. You're going to hit a wall. But fuck all that. The story isn't done, is it? After all, why did the train break down? Is this company which resides over the train going to go downhill? Does the train stay in another world forever? Well, what better way to answer this than one of our future bosses monologuing? Why do VIP seats exist on a train that only lasts 10 seconds? Well, it sure seems convenient considering they can sleep soundly while all the other passengers rip each other apart. And how has the doctor and nurse remained sane through all those thousands of years? Well, they were barely there is why. See, one of their friends has a really convenient power. They've only been there about 2 weeks mentally. They can freeze and unfreeze their consciousness in a way that activates only when needed. So that has given them the ability to understand how the train works to an extent. The people board the train, and then 1,000 years later, they leave the train thinking, oh wow, how convenient. It's a bit expensive, but I could get anywhere I want to quickly without the memory of the years they spent slaughtering one another. You see, the shocking and terrifying thing is, the warp train is not malfunctioning. It is working purely as intended. By taking a loop in space and time, it goes back to 10 seconds later. The warp train employees are fully aware of this and are in charge of placing each passenger back in their seats, so when they do come back to the 10 seconds later, they suspect nothing, all for the ease of convenience. Hey, and for the profit too, don't forget about the profit. So make sure you are careful with the trains you take, because the ride may be a lot longer than you expected. Alright, prepare yourself mentally because this is a single fucking worst enemy in Library of Ruina. Stupid, ugly, dumb, stupid idiot face. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. It should just be removed. I fucking hate it. Okay, you know what? No. We're gonna get into this. I know we just came from a super intense horror flick and now I'm yelling at you and you don't really understand, but let me explain. Alright? Okay, stay with me, alright? Mwah. I'm kissing you on your little fucking forehead. It's gonna be okay. You are now at the point of Library of Ruina where it comes with some really sick customization. Every single person you have faced has cards and you take pieces of their existence from them. So you can slap on their key page and become them with a cool outfit. You get tons of passives, and what's even better, you can take the passives from other enemies and mix and match to make your, favorite friend. This is later further expanded and you can make yourself look super cool and amazing. This is where the customization of Library of Ruina really comes into full swing, and you make your characters. You can power up one or the full team. Maybe you want a Suicide Squad to go in and just, you know, make it easier for the next team. Or maybe teamwork is your key to success. It really is up to you. God, that sounds like a mobile ad. What the fuck is wrong with me? Okay, look, I could get into every single effect in the game and how clashes works against dice and how counters work, but there is no fucking time. I need to complain in a second and just know that strategists will blow their steaming hot load over this fucking game, okay? Man, we are really not making monetization on this one. No, seriously, if the warp train doesn't take it, just fucking how I phrase things sure as hell will. Leave a like for that, I guess, or whatever. I'm bad at promotion. Oh, yeah, and every floor is different, and while going through these trials and tribulations, you face an enormous amount of abnormalities from Lobotomy Corporation, and force them to lend you ego, which is basically just cool-ass powers that you steal from abnormalities, and they are very powerful and can also be complete garbage. It just depends on the floor, and each floor has a cool twist until you get to, oh, mama, okay, a red mist, Gabura, mommy crush my pelvis with your own, whatever the fuck you want to call her. She is the hottie, hot woman, the most absolute badass of this entire series. Oh my god, yes. Okay, stop. Actually, sidetrack. Time for a history lesson to learn how our civilization is built on the backs of the dead and their innovative minds. See, back in the 1500s, there was a man who went by the name of Cornelius Ashcroft. He was an inventor and was obsessed with the idea of temperature. Now, there were some very crude ways of quantifying temperature, such as the hand test. If a human hand can hold it, it's considered warm. If it was burned, it is considered hot. If scalded to the skin, it was considered very hot. There was also the idea of how hot it needed to be to melt metal. Ashcroft thought that you needed to be able to numerically identify this before it reached the point of being able to melt metal. So how did he do this? He made a very clear container and melted bees. Yeah. He was able to find the melting point of bees and came up with the first measuring system that he called Apis. Essentially, how many melted bees does it take to melt metal? Since then, we have come a long way in terms of learning how to measure temperature, and even have been able to measure the heat of the sun. And yet still, we have come nowhere close to being able to quantify how fucking hot Gabura is. Please, for the love of God, crush me in between your fucking meat mountains you call thighs, god damn it. Also, that thing about bees, completely made up.
It's false. No way. Not this time. We created it.
Don't just believe YouTube videos, guys. Anyway, about Gabura. See, red mist was originally a color. When you reach a legendary level of fixer status, you get assigned a color. And these are the top of the top, and red mist was also fucking amazing until she died and went into her second life at Lobotomy Corporation. There she was able to wield ego or powerful weapons and powers better than anyone else because, see, here's the thing. Ego naturally resists the user and corrodes its mind. If you're a fucking pussy, that is. Because red mist whipped those bad boys into shape, and she was able to reach the highest assimilation rate with any of the egos and could use their full power. Mwah, fucking amazing. And if that is not amazing enough for you, check this. So we could have let all of that power go to waste. We use a book of red mist written by Angela to go back in time and steal her page. This means we can use her own custom, unique, badass ego, which is super cool with swords that goes has so fucking theme music and it's badass. If this doesn't activate something primal about how cool she is in your brain, I can't fucking talk to you. She is the most cool thing ever and I love her and I want to reincarnate as an egg just on the off chance my body ends up in a protein shake for her. God damn. Everything you have faced up to now is nothing compared to her in her second form. A form you get to use, I might add. Right now, getting only 8 to 19 is already seen as big on your damage, and there are some ego pages that are like 20 and they can roll for low damage but have a high cost, and it's usually only able to target one person. Normally when you use cards, they clash against one another, meaning the highest number wins. So she hits everyone for 28 to 42. Look, some of these things you just gotta take on the chin like a champ. You won't be able to win against that. Also, did you notice that that dice has a number? That's speed, and you only get to change where she targets if you have the higher speed. She has infinite on her dice. This is just could show you that she's a completely overpowering force. This is a color. This is strength. This is beyond reason. This is red mist. Pure, overwhelming force. So when I say she has the single worst floor, I fucking mean it. Not because she's hard to defeat, not because of the past, not because the egos suck. It is one motherfucker, and it's a goddamn abnormality. See, when you open up a floor, it's level 1. You fight abnormalities and level up. And when you go into these fights with abnormalities, you're put in a situation. A situation you usually have to read a lot later in the game. For Red Mist, you have to face Little Red Riding Hood. And I know how this sounds, right? So easy. I punched her stupid fucking grandma in the face and her. Well, no, this Red Riding Hood is actually kind of cool as hell. And she's on your side, except not. See, the lore behind this is the Red Riding Hood is obsessed with killing the big bad wolf, and her existence is just to kill the wolf. Every moment of her life is dedicated to it. It will come back, and she is thinking more and more ways she will kill it. The stage you are in makes you fight the big bad wolf with Red Riding Hood, who looks super fucking cool, but is totally incompetent and constantly shoots your people in the back. Your goal is to fight the big bad wolf, but let her get the last hit. And if you don't, she gets super pissed and starts trying. You literally cannot kill this woman. What is this fucking nonsense? I have beaten the game 4 fucking times now, and this will be the 5th, and not even counting before mods and shit. And this randomness of this stupid fucking dice when you kill the wolf before she gets the last hit, it's just fucking infuriating. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. I fought this 3 whole fucking days my first time. I'm not kidding. I have no advice for this. For re-recording this shit, I literally just got lucky and did not fight, and it died while she barely managed to scrape together just enough damage to kill them. I'm sure some guru in the comment will talk about how fucking easy this fight is, but shut up, you're a fucking nerd. And this fight isn't optional. Eventually you have to fight it. It is hell, and not in the fun way. If we're still doing the thing about the metaphor about this game where this is like a landscape, this is like where the coffee stain kind of got it, or maybe it got a little bit too wet in this fucking area, but like it's the one blemish on this game that makes me have a pit in my stomach and I clench my fist like fucking Arthur whenever I have to fight it. But we do it all for Red Mist. Okay. Enough seething. Let's get to another plot line and then we'll take a look at the main story, shall we?
You know, I'm not the smartest fellow, so until I began writing this, I thought the index was just like a library index. No. See, the city has these things called the 5 fingers, and the thumb, the middle, the index, the pinky, and the ring. They're powerful groups that not even the head can really easily fight against, and yeah, that's a finger. Never put the 2 and 2 together until then, you know, just now. See, the index is a cult. You're introduced to a man by the name of Jan, who is a messenger for this cult. Every day, messengers give the cult prescripts, basically fortune cookies that tell you what to do for the day. In exchange, you receive protection, and somehow they also know if you don't do the instructions. So what do these entail? Well, the first lady is told to put 3 needles in a birthday cake for their neighbor tomorrow. They're a sweetheart and don't want to do, so the messenger Jan tells them that maybe tell them about it in advance. The prescript said nothing about that, which leads to another issue. Like most cults, things are open to a lot of interpretation. You may actually get it wrong because you don't interpret it right, which means no more protection. And in the city, you need protection. Man, the fingers really are just rival gangs when you think about it. The next person Jan meets is completely overwhelmed with anxiety over his prescript. Play rock, paper, scissors with the 3rd person you meet and play rock. If you win, pull out 59 strands of their hair, then apply seafood cream pasta sauce with mealworms fed on styrofoams to it 3 times and then eat it with a fork. The man struggles with his own grief and then it turns into a flash of rage. Why are you telling him to eat this? Just last week he had to make a risotto out of sewer water and feed it to his neighbor and they ended up in the ER. Fuck this, I'm not doing it. And Jan says, hey man, I just work here, I don't make the prescripts, I just deliver them. And then the man cools his rage for a moment to start to beg him to give him another prescript. Just let him pay, he'll do whatever. Jan apologizes and he doesn't have the ability to do that. Store policy. Fuck man, he really just is an insurance agent when you think about it. Jan meets up later with Gloria, who is an index proxy. They both have businesses with Lamarcus, who refuses to answer the door. This is quickly solved by Gloria busting it down. So another thing, when someone doesn't fulfill their prescript, the index may also put proxies on to smash your frontal lobe. It's a cult. One for the cult, all for the cult. You can't leave the cult, do not fail the cult. The man screams that the prescript said, kill the painting you've drawn. It's so fucking vague. Paintings were everything to him, but he smeared all of his art with ink. He stabbed them, he tore them, painted pictures of the dead. He did everything he could. Gloria said, wow, that's stupid and a no-brainer. Pick someone up from the streets, use them as a model for a painting, then kill them. Isn't that fucking obvious? The man complains, but the proxy doesn't listen.
The man says that he's done so much for the Index. He has done so many prescripts without fail. But Gloria simply said that once you get a prescript, carry it out. No exceptions. Any more complaints were hard to hear over Gloria pounding his skull in. Finally, man meets Mr. John, a man new to the flock. His prescript is to stand on any three-way intersection at 3:38 tomorrow and look east and wave 7 times. John is delighted. That's all he has to do? No need to pay money? Wow, this is so easy. You can tell that Yan is looking at the man with pain in his heart. Yes, all you need to do is carry out each prescript accordingly. John laughs and says, man, the Index is the best. They don't ask for anything backbreaking like the others do. The pain in Jan's heart soared from his chest, giving him the courage to speak. Won't you reconsider? Nothing is truly free. John responds saying he only has to do simple tasks like this, right? It's dangerous all around. He needs protection. The Index is the only one that he can count on. And so Yan resides back into his role. So long as they follow the prescripts, they will remain safe. Yan then meets up with several Index proxies, including Gloria. It's rare for proxies to get prescripts, but Yan delivers them to the group anyway. Yan retorts that prescripts will be prescripts, it's not like you guys ever cared how many you got anyway, clearly showing a distaste for his fellow members. Gloria states that they have never doubted the prescripts, they just may end up seeing a lot of blood with the thumb and the sweepers at this rate. Another one pipes up that if the prescript says they must wage war, they will gladly do so. The last one agrees with the rest. It is their role to act on behalf of the prescript. They will relay their orders to the rest of the family. Yan, who is a bit curious, asks what the prescript demanded of them this time. To murder people in a nest and take their spines. To exchange the left leg of the 14th person they come across with the right leg of the 26th person they come across. And finally, to eliminate the thumb. Now, that's the big one. See, that's essentially waging war on one of the major branches of the city. And when we pan back to our little library friends, Angela says that it seems so silly that syndicates can maintain order with prescripts that come out of nowhere. And that's when Roland mentions something very chilling. While all of these seem random and off the wall, they work in the Index's favor, and no one knows where the prescripts come from. This belief is silly. How can someone just blindly believe this? But that's pretty much how everyone lives. They live life according to the purpose given to them by someone or something else without thinking twice. It's simple. It's easy. Those without purpose will gladly seek it out even if it's through the prescripts. This is something we should all take a moment to acknowledge. Life moves fast and our beliefs can be what they are simply because we haven't had them challenged yet or brought to light. Asking why will always bear fruit to those actually seeking an answer. Speaking of people blindly following the rules, welcome to the Thumb. They love rules more than anyone. Speak out against a superior, your lower jaw is taken. Speak out against a decent higher up position, you will have your left hand taken. Someone trash talks about the boss, their entire section gets wiped out overnight. After a meeting, they talk about the Index and how the war will be in full swing. Even some of the colors are getting involved in the fight, such as purple tear or blue reverberation. It's not easy, and so they think that taking over the library will somehow solve their issues. That's where our boy Yan steps right in the middle of the enemy base to say, hey, not a great idea. From being met with threats, Yan doesn't really care and he's here to aura farm while they're all on edge. He isn't here to make them bleed today. Instead, Yan asks to speak with the boss so he can give his opinion. While an enemy, the Thumb underboss should not go. He will fall. If the underboss managing the area disappears, the Index will take over the area with ease. Not to mention, if he becomes a book, the Index may get it and read all of the secrets from the underboss. And that would be really, really bad for the Thumb. The underboss instead mocks him, saying he's sharing his opinion rather than being a delivery boy. He only acknowledges the prescripts of the Index, not the ramblings of some stupid courier. And so he threw a few threats at Yan, who is more than ready to fight. These dudes also have like some really weird obsessions with tongues. If someone is in a higher position than you, you must be courteous. You can't speak before they do or even mention their name. You must ask permission for every little thing. One cult is much like another, and one may be orange, and the other may be an apple. They're still fruit. Fruit that will become compost at the foot of the library as you devour yet another powerful foe. And in the meantime, the Index and the Thumb are fighting like rabid dogs trying to find the weakness of one and take over another's territory. The Index members are filling out one more of their little fortune cookies. Removed all limbs of Thumb personnel in the nest and hang their bodies on skewers. One of the Thumb members is yelling at them, saying how blind and deaf they are to anything but their prescripts. How sad their life must be. How could you stake your life on that? And then he died. Probably choking on the thick irony, not only because he's in the same sort of cult, but he died on a stake. And Gloria was just overjoyed with the sight of the dead enemies. Jan said that they shouldn't be giving any more extra meaning to the messages, and Gloria quickly shot back that it was only due to them that they were able to get treatment for their shattered lower jaw and removed eyes, because the Thumb fucked them up. The prescript knows all. And Jan says that he still doesn't need to thank the prescript for this. It's just them being carried out. Meanwhile, one of the colors show up with his cool ass looking posse to take the bodies of the Thumb. The Index wants to avoid conflict here, and the prescript was already being carried out, so there's little reason to refuse them taking the bodies. And finally, the last prescript Jan had for the proxies was given. But before Proxy Esther said, "Let me guess, it says that this group shall enter the library, correct?" And Jan was completely taken aback. How could they already know what was written? Oh, you look surprised, Jan. See, we already knew the prescripts that you had been delivering were illegitimate. I mean, except for Gloria. And Jan is in a deep confusion and he wants answers. If they knew they were fake, why declare war against the Thumb and dig your own graves by going to the library? And once again, it's because they followed a prescript. It said to carry out every prescript delivered by Messenger Jan. The prescript knows all. And Jan is baffled. Just how much do these fucking prescripts know, man? And the proxy asserted his own belief yet again. We cannot escape the prescripts. Every action of ours and every thought is within their boundaries. You cannot escape it. And Gloria is really upset with Jan, saying that they betrayed him, but another proxy states that there was no betrayal. The prescripts were still being carried out. And Jan finally begins to snap. He's so sick and tired of these goddamn prescripts. How much more needs to be lost and abandoned because of these damn things? He's lost his family, he's killed friends, and stolen precious things from people, just for what? He was ridden with a guilt, but he forced himself to continue, because the prescripts must be carried out. They guide us to the right path, but have I really traveled down the correct path listening to these prescripts? I resent them, I fear them, I loathe them, yet they give me the role of messenger. I must give to others the same terrible fate I was given, so I began making fake ones. I thought I was showing my own will for the first time in my life, and yet they already knew everything. Tell me, was this not done out of my own will all along? And Jan's frantic introspection fell on deaf ears. It mattered not if you did it of your own volition or not. All that matters is that you follow the prescript. That is all there is. Was anyone ever really free within the city? And before they departed, they informed Jan that the prescript had invited them to a certain place. He was to head there before we cut to the library. To Roland given a very strange idea, he says, man, maybe it isn't too bad to let go of all the complicated things, to just follow the orders of the Index. Meanwhile, Angela, who had done this for several thousands of years, disagrees. You won't be better than a mindless corpse, blindly following tasks mindlessly. It's better to be an individual with free will. However, Jan, who dreamed to be free, could not. The two begin to wonder if what they've been doing is the will of the city, or if they've been doing all along. It's the city's will, not their own. But Roland doesn't care. What he knows is that his motions are his alone. And we draw near to the end of our dear friend Jan's story. He follows the prescript to some place deep underground where machines span far and wide. An Index member greets them, saying that they should make themselves at home. Apparently, they are a weaver. Jan asks what this place has to do with the prescripts, and the weaver replies that this is the place where prescripts are born. Jan and the weaver discuss prescripts and how brutal they can be. Jan accuses the weaver of writing them, which he says not at all. They are simply here to manage the spinning wheels and loom. They both remain quiet a moment, to which there is a small tremor. The weaver says that this is the heartbeat of the city. Those vibrations move a pendulum, and the weaver spins the wheels to make the threads. Then they show Jan the entire process in action. A few moments later, one of the nonsense prescripts pop out. It is then shoved in a pipe and delivered deeper into the city to a messenger like Jan, who will deliver it to the recipient. And Jan is fucking baffled by this. This can't be all there is. Who made this then? The weaver lacks answers because just like them, they were led here by a prescript. This is frustrating to no fucking end. How many people have died because of these stupid, randomly generated commands? They should have tweaked them to make them less cruel, and the weaver simply replies that they would just get killed. Besides, how could they possibly be the only weaver in the city? This left Jan with even more questions. Who the fuck could be behind all of these damn prescripts? And so The Weaver gives him an answer that is very unsatisfying. They believe it to be the city themselves. The pendulum inscribing patterns on the threads all come from the city. The footsteps of the pedestrians, quakes from construction sites, all of them are from the city itself. At the end of the day, the city folk will never be free from the city. They are a representation of its will. And so Jan is left fucking helpless. His antagonist is a concept of all things. And so he questions it. Why does the city have to be this way? And the Weaver says that's because the people are. The city is a reflection of its creators, and the creators are born cruel. And this leads Jan into deeper and deeper confusion, and in that he strikes another tone of rage. How could this person talk about this with such a carefree attitude? They know nothing of the atrocities that they are creating. But what is the Weaver to do? They were simply doing what they were ordered. Do they have to care about that though? This is all because of the city's will. The city matches the people living in it. These prescripts are born from the desires of the city, their wants. Humans want to walk a path that is given to them. They are afraid of consequences of their own actions. They'd rather rely on something else to help mold that path for them. That's how gods are born. People need them. They can't be oppressed, and you can't blame anyone for this. The prescript exists because the city wants them. At this point, our dear ponytailed friend is at his wit's end. The words of the Weaver were like silk draping his tattered and weary mind that has already so desperately struggled against the flow of the prescripts. It's not his fault. People weren't doing inhumane things because of the prescripts. Horrible things were meant to happen anyway. People are cruel. Nothing. He's just part of this world. He can't change the wishes of the people. He can't push back against the flow. He had tried desperately to forge the prescripts, but even that was within its grasp. A grasp that he can never hope to escape. And so they fell into a deep, deep despair. And so they fell into their new form, a being entirely made to live by the will of the city, never questioning anything, and moving them on the path that was set for them, to your library. But not before we get a little mention from Roland that there are things akin to gods in this world. It is because people wish them into existence as well. And look, whoever wished White Knight into existence, you're kind of an asshole. Alright, your next track to play for this boss music is up. Anyway, this boss fight is absolutely beautiful. The song is chilling, considering the giant fist will smash the hell out of you, while the singer talks about random tasks they are given. Also, as so many people will be happy to tell you, the final task is to not go home until you've finished reading the value of E, a representation of a number which is much like pi and does not end, a fitting end because they will never be going home. Their destiny was to become fodder for the library to grow stronger. So that ends our dear friend Jan's story. Now let's try and dissect it for a moment just before moving on to the main story. Jan's entire predicament is this concept of free will. Now, I am by no means a philosopher, and in fact, this goes over most of my head, like, for the most part. It's just like, I'm just gonna try and seem deep and clever while smoking my pipe by a fireplace anyway, alright? The idea of having a will is having a fixed desire or intention and being able to put that out into the world. To put it in the most basic terms, it is how you make decisions. The prescripts are a representation of a predetermined path which is offered to people. It is quite easy to accept, as was previously mentioned. Follow the path and you'll be safe, until you're not. Jan's case in particular was being controlled by the prescripts, and he wished to break out of them and tried to do so by forging them. This was him enacting his will, but the prescripts let him do this. Is this really his own will? So let's say, for instance, Jan's entire environment is controlled by the prescripts and they know everything. All of his experiences, suffering, happiness, everything is on a predetermined path. Even if Jan is making those decisions actively, does he really have free will if his existence is kept in a dome and controlled? Does he have free will, or are all of those elements pushing him in a direction and robbing him of that free will? And that's about as far as I'd like to delve into the philosophy. It's important to discuss because most of the people in the city believe that they have no free will. The city is cruel. You must do what you can to survive. You'd like to be this kind person, but the moment that you show any sign of weakness, you'll have your throat slit. Most people can't even harbor the thought of something more than what they are doing because they are desperately trying to survive. It is much easier to stab the person next to you who you think is a bastard when you're in the same shoes, rather than overthrowing the powers that suppress you in the first place. In this case, it's a bunch of superpowered motherfuckers, so honestly kind of valid. So now we get to the white-haired trauma queen herself, Angela. Is she technically a grandma? I mean, I know she's never really had kids. I mean, wait, she is a clanker until she isn't, because she'll eventually bathe in the light. How old would that make her though? I guess however old she wants to be. If she can literally turn a metal body into a human one, well, she could have like any form she wants, really. Why would she want that? Man, you know, if I could do that, I would have myself some giant ass titties. All the homies getting smothered to death. That's all I'm saying. Fuck yeah. Oh, wait, Angela, right, I'm doing a thing. Okay, anyway, keep in mind at this point, you are 100% going to be spoiled. Seriously. My recommendation to you is playing the actual game. Turn off this video, buy the game, play it. This is a simple, fleeting moment of enjoyment you will feel in the paltry works of other entertainment, which are far less than a footnote in the pure ecstasy of playing through the ending sections of this campaign. If this game was a story, all the others you would have were just poorly scripted filler. Make no mistake though, this is not going to be handed to you. You will be thrown into a cruel and uncaring world and bashed again and again, feeling the full wrath of the city. Failure will be normalized, and yet you will continue to stand up and crawl over the bodies of your enemies and friends alike until you stand on top of it all. When they try and push you down into the pit, you will take the stairs you climbed up and bash them on the head with those fucking stairs. If they strip you of your weapons, your armor, your pride, you will stand naked in front of them, basking in the light, tearing them down with the heavens to crush them. If they burn you to ashes, you will rise from them like the mightiest of phoenixes and burn them in turn. Stop not at the enemy in front of you, but the world that would stand against you. If they cry songs of sorrow to the gods to descend upon you, then the gods be damned. You will strike them down and strip yourself of your own humanity, wearing the cloak of the goddom sewn from the very skin of the gods that dare to not bow down before you. And when you stand on the edge of the tallest mountain, there will be no truer ecstasy than this. There will be no truer bliss. There you will know beauty of the work that is goddamn Library of Ruina. And when you finish it all, you will think to yourself, is this the top? And no, you have only begun your fucking quest. All of that lies before you. And if you still wish to continue, you may have a diminished version of this true beauty. Know that if you try and capture this true bliss after, it will slip through your hands like water. Onward to the main fucking story. Now, with everything being said, Angela's stage is a little bit too big for just herself, so she has another actor to dance in this tragic comedy with. Roland, what was once a man stumbling into the library, has now been interweaved to the two of them with an inescapable bond. And before you get ahead of yourself, no, it isn't love. In fact, there is a line specifically saying what Angela feels for Roland isn't love, which honestly, we need more of that. See, I have no issue with love or anything like that. I feel like we are led to believe that to reach a deep connection with someone, you have to love them in a relationship manner. The idea of people who are just very good, close friends and support one another wholeheartedly are usually not really well represented in most media, and I feel like that's such an important thing for a person to have, especially in Angela's case. She really needs that. So, in order to see where we will go, we need to see where we have been. Let's double back a bit to where Roland was first introducing himself in the library. He's been put in the yaoi category with a man named Yasad. Side note, I'm probably going to horribly mispronounce your favorite characters' names. I actually ended up looking this up to try and figure out how to pronounce his name. I got distracted by Cool Hebrew, which looks oddly similar to this deploy screen for the library. I actually did try and look into more of this, but the Wikipedia page changed into Hebrew, and I wasn't able to change it back for some reason. Looks like how it's similar to chakras or something. But I took 15 seconds to look into it, so it's a lot for a YouTuber. Anyway, when delivering books to his fellow librarians, he mentioned that they seem to be extremely strong, despite not giving off the vibes of being from any sort of big syndicate. Most librarians are not the source of their own power, and it comes from the library and emotions. They can imbue the books onto their own bodies and strengthen the senses that power them. It's also really impressive because you don't need expensive surgery. This is a real moneymaker, and Roland points this out. And Yasad bashes him for the idea, but Roland grew up poor, like really poor. It really changes your perspective on things. Another visit later down the line, and you're talking about the technologies of the city, since this is the floor of technology. Funny enough, plenty of cutting-edge technology is out there. The rich don't need to suffer from any sort of disease, but cures exist only if they have the money for it. And the narrative seems to be oddly focused on this. It's almost as though someone passed from these diseases, since, you know, Roland seems really focused on it. And despite being very nihilistic with his that is that and this is this, Roland is maybe looking for ways to make money to afford cures for the sick, which would be very hard to do for a 9th grade fixer. It is also mentioned a moment later that there are also people that like to play gods with these technologies, called singularities, such as the warp train. Huge companies tend to have such technologies, and Roland asked what Lobotomy Corporation's singularity was. And this is the interesting part. Lobotomy Corporation's singularity was physically manifesting the human mind, converting emotions into physical energy the same way the library does. You essentially turn the guests and librarians into a bunch of monkeys in a cage and throw a banana in the middle. What comes out is a lot of dead monkeys and one superpowered gorilla, and their mental states are now physically expressed. Actually, no. Hold on. This is a stupid comparison, but it's somehow actually smart. Why have we not done the same thing with monkeys? Have you ever seen a truly enraged monkey? You think that can't make some powerful egos? Fuck all this facility shit. Why have we not been torturing monkeys instead of humans? Even economically, it makes more sense. Clearly there is some like backstreet justice that will stop you from taking anyone off the backstreet, and abnormalities are just super dangerous. Why not just have them on severe lockdown and then harvest monkey emotions? Put that dude in front of a glass with a banana behind it and don't let him have it. I bet you he will fucking distort. Roland also mentions that they seem oddly similar to distortions, and he isn't wrong. We saw Yan succumb to the hopelessness and take on a new form. You have to feel a severe emotion, and it will eventually manifest that emotion into egos. And look, all I'm saying is that if the power and severity of emotion is important, if you just lock me in a room with Gaburo, we'll have the most goddamn powerful ego imaginable. I'm just saying. Okay, I'm done. I promise. This idea makes Roland wonder, though. Malchus said that they were part of a project aimed to save humanity, and he wants to know exactly what that means. To which Yasad replies, it is to cure the mind. Carmen was the leader of the research team, and her very core belief is that every person in the city has a diseased mind. The disease was so severe that humanity would slowly lead to its own self-destruction. And Roland says this sounds like a shady cult leader, and my god is he on point. But Yasad is also saying that they can scientifically prove this claim, and though it would be pointless to describe to Roland because he's just too fucking dumb to get it, and probably me too. And so Roland said, you know what, that's fair, but did you succeed? And he says, well, obviously the answer is no, that's why we're here. But what pisses off Yasad most is that he committed so many sins for a single righteous purpose, saving humanity. They convinced themselves they had no other choice, that they knowingly drove their colleagues to their deaths, all for this greater good. But it was all for naught. He curses Angela for ruining it at the very last moment. And so you're given a small flashback of all the librarians, save one, trying to rally against Angela to stop her from throwing away all their work. In the end, they clearly failed, and it fades back to Yasad saying that you will never understand how desperate they were, and she snuffed out their only light. And in the end, they had to make all these compromises just to continue having a chance at it. And Roland says, you're right, he won't care. All he cares about right now is helping Angela achieve her goals. And Yasad scoffs, you only want the result regardless of what the process entails. He says you're no different from Angela, only caring about himself and suffering the same disease of the mind the city suffers from. You'll use whatever technology is available to you, not caring about all of the sacrifices of those technologies that they were built on. And Roland sneers right back at him, saying what a dreamer and a snob he is. He didn't grow up where one of those protected nests where all the rich are able to shroud themselves in these delusions. He knows better than anyone the price of those technologies and singularities. To see his mind my ass. You're just upset because people don't know how singularities really work. They don't have any other option. Corporations go through so much to conceal questions around them that consumers gave up on caring. They're tired. They have so much to try and sustain their everyday life. How could they be able to investigate such a thing? And in the end, both of these staff members were fired up and not seeing eye to eye. But it gives us so much perspective on things as well. Roland shows us the city perspective of the eyes of someone doing everything just to sustain themselves. He didn't grow up in a nest, and he actually really believes they had it so much better there. He can't take for a moment to see the sacrifices the Assad has clearly put in. He also can't see the hard work of the librarians giving their literal lives for the sake of what they thought would be a better life for the people in the city. And it may have been if Angela had not torn everything away from them. Angela, who was only trying desperately to escape her own cycle she was literally born into. If that isn't fucking poetry and writing, I don't know what is. So the two of them leave it alone and return to their work, and the library continues growing. And one day, Angela calls in Roland and is a bit more friendly and actually calls Roland by his name. And she's kind of sucked at social interaction up to this point, and she's not, even now she's like, nah, it's still not, it's not great. But Roland says it's been a long time since he's heard anyone call him by his actual name. Last time he did it, he actually had a family. And Angela was a bit confused, and she said that he thought his grandmother disappeared a long time ago. And Roland just casually drops the bomb that he had a wife. Yeah, look at this smooth, smiling motherfucker. You think he goes around dressed fine as hell and didn't have a wife? Well, you're right, because she's dead. He said had. And Angela is super curious about his marriage. Roland says it's just a boring story with some sad moments, and he don't really think she will like it. Angela, who had to listen to the same goddamn story for who knows how long, is more than open to hearing it. And he says, Roland says, wow, big talk from someone who won't share their own story. And Angela says it's just too fucking annoying. You'd be really sick of something if you had to go through it for that long, you know? And Roland said, yeah, I get tired of reading the same book after like the 5th time. I'd probably just choke myself out with a tie. And it's like, really, Roland? Reading a book 5 times? That'll make you do that. All right, my man needs therapy. So Roland recounts his past for a bit, and he had to work his ass off constantly. He wasn't actually a bad fit for the fixer work, seeing the background that it came from, so he worked a little to be a busy bee until he met his so-called soulmate. She was a tough woman. Clearly, this man has some good taste. When he looked at her back, he felt a comfort finding a place to belong to. Something not even a house has made him feel, and he made so many attempts to try and catch her attention. He did get to see her a lot since they worked a similar job, and apparently she was a really high-grade fixer unlike himself. Eventually, they did up tying the knot. He says it really simply, but you could tell those twisted emotions were crazy during those times. Both of them had worked for a while and like dogs, so they could, take some time away from being fixers since they wanted to spend time with one another. He says it's, kind of corny and everything, but this is what happiness was like. He could really only just use that to describe how he felt. He was alone his entire life and had finally someone to rely on. The only worries were the ones that they had to figure out what they needed to eat and what to name their child. Then one day, he got a call from a friend asking him for a request far away from home. The job wasn't a huge deal and the pay was alright, so he decided to take it. He was even going to a district famous for its pajon, which was his wife's favorite food. You could even see her mouth watering as she sent him off for it. He even purchased a stasis preservation box that was way overpriced to keep it nice and fresh for her, like it was straight out the kitchen. But a huge incident occurred around his home while he was away. It collapsed and his wife died along with their child while she was still pregnant. Roland cried for a long while. He cursed the world, the city. I writhed and struggled so much to earn this happiness, so why does it have to slip out of my hands so easily? But that was the end of the Sharefest. Roland says this story can happen to anyone in the city. His story isn't unusual or unique, you just have to endure it. Angela was a little bit surprised by all this and asked him how he can actually manage to endure all that. He says he's simply trying to settle it on his own terms. Angela mentioned that Roland being called by his name was a big surprise, but he also mentioned another one. He waves it away, saying the outfits here weren't as bad as he thought initially. He said if he told him every story, it wouldn't be any fun. You gotta save some surprises for the end, right? When they achieve all their goals together. And this gives you so much insight into Roland as a character and his struggles. You can definitely see why he would care so much about technology and how it's used. Maybe his wife could have been saved, but the money that he needed wasn't enough. He was left alone because despite working his entire life, the money simply was not enough. That can tear down a person, and you can tell he's still struggling internally with it. But this is this, and that is that. And so he will simply try and endure. And this isn't an unpopular way of dealing with trauma, but it's one that can be very toxic in the long run. So now onto distortions. See, there's a boy named Philip, and without realizing it, you killed a lot of his friends, and I mean a lot. Even the people that he hired to go after you ended up dead in his journey's end, and he came to the library trying to reclaim their lost books, and that party ended up dead too. He curses himself for his uselessness and is scorned with sorrow. No one is going to cry on his behalf. This sadness is his to bear. He must carry it if he cannot get rid of it. He will plunge deeper and deeper into the swamp of sorrow and tell himself whatever he must do to get back on his feet. And he does so with new power. Yeah, look man, heavy is the hand that cranks the hog, but sorry side character, I didn't include your footage in this video. What I did include was the fact that he could now use ego. He managed to physically manifest his mind inside the library, and the reason why he could do what, L Corp needed an entire facility to do was because of the influence of White Knight and Darkest Days. Oh, also at the end of that, he teleported away. He'll come back as a super boss, but that's for later, and he's still not important. The important part is the fact that people can manifest ego due to White Knight and Darkest Days. This is going to make your fights a lot harder because ego is a portion of manifesting your consciousness. When you lose control of that and you give in to those unresolved emotions, you distort and become a distortion like Yan. It's actually a lot more common than you think because you're in a city filled with emotionally unstable people, but this is this and that is that. So let's talk more about these crazies. The musicians of Bruman. People who wear outfits and make some sick music. Oh, also, they kill people. Should have probably led with that, but at this point, it's a given. See, most of them were actually fixers and heard the pianist when he destroyed about the whole last district. They remember the enchanting music from far away, and it made them realize how beautiful the sounds a human can make in the right hands of a performer. Mostly by bashing their heads in, but they also curse a color known as the Black Silence for cutting off the pianist's heads and hands. Otherwise, they would have gone and joined the pianist in his display. These freaks are just one of the many that are entering in your library, and upon getting irritated by Angela, they bash her on the head. And guess what? She bleeds. And after slaughtering them all, Roland is confused as hell. She was 100% machine when he first came here, but this is only a sign that they are moving towards their goal. She is becoming human, or some bastardization of the moment. I do not want to pop her open and see what's inside at the moment, but it's very clear that the goals that Angela set out are slowly coming closer and closer into reality. And upon leveling up the library once more, a disembodied voice speaks to the player. It speaks about how Lobotomy Corporation, the library, White Knight and Darkest Days, and Distortions are all connected. Something we already know, but it is important because others are now starting to figure this out. Also, unaware to the player or even Angela, it tells us about a fog that has surrounded the library entirely. That fog is slowly lifting as it grows in power. Wherever they are becoming more powerful, yet more visible to the powers that be. And this can only bring trouble. But in the meantime, Roland finally asked, are you getting any closer to the freedom that you've yearned for? After all, she's becoming human. She will be able to leave soon. All the librarians will. And she admits she doesn't know. The one book is on its way to completion though. And Roland presses them more, asking if she is really thinking that this magical book is going to solve everything for her. She says that the power of the library is infinite. She can glance into countless possibilities, but all of those that are unneeded are worthless. With the invitation self, she can navigate through them and reach the ones that she needs for the perfect book. When she weaves those books together, she will create the absolute book, which contains all the answers she seeks. Roland and I are kind of on the same page here because this is just going to work in theory. That could work. But it's very, very oversimplified, but you fight monsters made out of emotion, so shut up. And what Angela wants most from the city is not this, but answers. Through the books, she is seeing that no one seems to have their own free will in the city. They are chained to something. Fixers obey offices, office obey associations, syndicates do the same. Everyone goes somewhere, but no one knows where and no one can decide where to go, all just going along with the flow. Roland says that from his perspective, money could buy freedom, and Angela says they could be free, but they aren't. In fact, when you get richer, you seem to shun freedom. They all want to belong to something that isn't themselves. Joining organizations or defining them by evaluations of others, their essence is so fragile that they can't specify their own identity without encasing themselves in such a shell. This is what the disease of the mind is. And this is why Angela was made and imprisoned, to cure this disease. But what about her freedom? Who is going to take responsibility for creating them, then carelessly leaving them to suffer? Sometimes she just wants to forget all of it, but she can't. Do you know how it feels to be denied something the very moment you were born? Because she is painfully aware. Her creator hated her for something completely out of her control. It's only a machine. She hates the moment that she can feel as though it all happened only seconds ago. She curses her own body that can only hear the words she doesn't want to listen to. She hates the head that remembers things that are better off forgotten. And Roland agrees that it sounds like her creator was a really shitty person and wonders why he would even break the ethics amendment just to create Angela with human emotions. And the reason was that he needed something that could perform an independent response to slight variations in the same ever-repeating script, but could also endure the eons of time. Something he could still control, but wouldn't deviate from the script. It couldn't be a human, and it couldn't be a machine. He needed both. The only reprieve that she was given was the ability to close her eyes. And those brief moments in the river of eons were the only way she could resist. But Roland says that script did come to an end, and it did conclude, and now she can think of what to do next. And this angers Angela. What, is she supposed to just move on and forget? She literally cannot. Every moment that was painfully inscribed into her brain, she can't forget any of it. She can vividly remember all of it. That's why she can't forgive her creator. He created her on a whim and left them to be crushed under the weight of time. Should she just forget all of that? Roland says, nah, who is he to tell you to move on from the past? You should just think about your next move. He can at least provide you support in that. And she says that she didn't realize that Roland cared for her so much. And he says, ultimately, it's for himself. But Angela is growing closer and closer every day as you see their body undergoing changes. She longs to be human and finally forget those memories. Okay, now see, let's get into the real bread and butter. See, up to this point I've been talking about how great the game is, and a lot of people may not be locked into the story, which is fair. Just remember, with each one of these mentions is a incredible battle to overcome, challenges that really test your mettle. We are now at one such challenge. You may think you've done an amazing job. You unlocked new staff, beat abnormalities, grabbed ego, but it is time to fully flesh out a floor. This will lead to a boss battle, but maybe not from whom you think. This is where you test builds on each individual floor. How well does it mesh with this floor? I bet you think you're pretty strong, huh? Well, that's gonna be put to a test. The first floor that you are going to realize is Malkuth's floor. This is the floor of history. The goal for such each floor is to categorize an insanely large portion of the knowledge that is on that floor into a given subject. Malkuth says that she cannot fully compile the comprehensive timeline of the city's history. And so Angela comes in with some real heat, calling her inept, talentless, and over-enthusiastic. And Malkuth ignores this, saying that there are some big and small events that form a coherent story, but there are noticeable gaps that are starting to form hella large, and it's very hard to sort. Like, no one actually remembers the history correctly. Roland says that maybe they just refuse to remember, and Angela says, of course. Looking back at things in your past life won't help your present life one bit. Malkuth retorts, saying that you can avoid making the same mistakes by knowing and facing your path, and Angela argues that it isn't worth being reminded of those painful memories. And so Roland comes in with his own perspective. In the city, it's hard to find the time to reflect on yourself, even more so about the things that happened before you were born. Why would they bother reading about things unrelated to themselves? You can't make a book out of something no one seems to know. And Malkuth continues being very idealistic, saying that someone has to know the history. They just lack the courage to face it. She'll record everything and make sure to fill those gaps. The library, Lobotomy Corporation, everything that happened before, all of it inked with blood, the countless deaths, the neglectfulness. The library was built on top of their graves, and someone has to remember it. And Angela reminds that she is no exception of that. And Malkuth accepts that. She is no different than anyone else. And the same that can be said for the rest of the city. All the things that they did with Carmen in their first life, all the things that they did with Angela in the second. She won't forget them. She then says that Angela is also one of the people trying to run from the past. She refuses to face it. And Angela just simply asks, what's your point? There would be minor variations of a human kills another and causes an event resulting in change. I fail to see the significance. And Malkuth, being the ever-burning idealist that she is, continues to say that even in those ever-repeating processes, they forged the path to give us new options. She insisted that Angela's path started the same. to which Angela is just tired of all of this. She gets so irritated. She speaks as though she knows everything. What makes you think you're qualified to talk about my creation? And then you actually get to see her creation, her creator, Ian and Benjamin. It's also worth noting that Benjamin is now a man named Hawkma, but he's whitey white hairdo to make things really simple. Angela's first words hearing upon awakening is she's nothing like her. Ian, the creator, was clearly not satisfied with his work. Though, what would have satisfied him? Benjamin insists that he has to at least give her a name, and he just says he could care less about a machine's name. Benjamin continued to insist, and Ian said, fine, the machine that will go to the depths of hell will be named Angela. And yet he walks away in disappointment saying, it's just a machine. Poor Angela asked what she did wrong. She was only born into this world, and yet she's already being scorned. Benjamin insists that Ian just needs more time. And speaking of time, this is where Angela gets told that she will experience everything in slow motion. It is going to be crucial for her work. And in the very end of the conversation, Benjamin apologizes. Angela asks, what for? And he says he just feels like he's done something very terrible to Angela and the person she was based off of. And during her work, Angela asks why Ian continues to turn his back to her. He coldly tells her that a machine should behave like a machine. Don't question it. And so she asks again, why give her the ability to feel then? Why break the AI ethics amendment? Why did you model me after a person with fond memories of you? She's looking at you and only you. And he just says, don't look at me. Don't speak at me unless I speak to you first. You will never be her. You're just a machine. And this really, really hurt Angela. Was it so wrong to be born a machine? And Benjamin says he doesn't mind it, but for some it's a problem. To him, it doesn't matter if you're a machine or human. And she asks, if she works hard, will he eventually turn back to her? And Benjamin, you can tell this is hurting him because he knows the answer, but instead gives her false hope. Probably. Eventually. And she trusted him when he said that. You and everyone nearby got to see Angela's memories. The library begins to violently shake and Angela is beyond angry. You get yourself lost in a vast sea of desolation and you think you can lecture me? Are you trying to boast to me that you had someone looking after you in the end? Don't be stupid. So yeah, Angela is resonating with the library. All that unrelenting trauma, she is beginning to meld with it in a sense. All of the abnormalities that you've dealt with on this floor? Oh yeah, she is about to take all of them and try and kill you, and oh my god, she's looking good while doing it. Look at them outfits. The costume design is so on peak. God, look how pretty that is. I want all of them. It's so good. This is a hellscape of Angela's making. You will fight every single abnormality you fought on this floor in addition to an additional one. If someone dies, they die. You don't get them back. You will keep facing the challenges ahead, and this can be a long fucking battle, and you have one for each and every floor. It's pretty brutal, and you'll have to use every resource available to you, and sometimes you will only barely scrape by the skin of your teeth. It's pretty insane. Oh man, but when you do win, it feels so good. You'll be rewarded with sick as hell cards reflecting each ego and its own abilities. Each floor has these as you go higher up, and they get more and more powerful. And then you're back in the library, trying to wake Angela up. She can sort of figure out what has happened from all the context clues, and she's upset but apologizes for the inconvenience of nearly trying to kill everyone. Malkuth asks if Angela's okay, and Angela thinks it was stupid to obsess over the recognition or neglect from others. And Malkuth says she's right. Only you can truly care for yourself after all. Angela is annoyed with this and dismisses everyone, but when she's alone, she admits that Malkuth was right. And the first therapy session is done and only a little bit of murder happened. I call that a success. And you know what goes along with that success? Egos! Really badass ones too. The final pages usually wrap the entire floor in a neat little box in terms of meshing well with one another. But like I said, this isn't the only floor you'll realize. Some less noticeable than others, but Yasad's one is very interesting. He came up with the theory that the library itself is like a miniature universe where anything is possible as long as its objective is to expand the library. He's trying to understand the workings of the library and asks Angela if he is correct. She tells him to believe whatever he wants. All you need is results, right? To which Shihzad says he doesn't agree with. His newfound idea in life is that despite how great technology is, it is not created without the corresponding price. The library is a great example of one such thing. Angela tells him that he only needs to do what the objective is that he is given. Why do you need to think about pointless things? Shihzad says that while those may be his orders, if he simply binds himself to that and fails to see beyond it, you're a fool. Angela says how nice it must be to be able to break the rules. You once again see Angela back in the hellhole known as Lobotomy Corporation. The thing that she hated most was that she couldn't help those people that were suffering. She was forced to watch them. She could save their lives, but was forced to prioritize energy efficiency above all else. She was forced to not be a person, but a machine devoid of free will. She is nothing more than a machine that needs to coordinate a stage so it goes accordingly, trapped in that hell. They paid the price? No, she paid the price. It was her that paid the price and the dues that they should have. She had to repeat that hell for decades to fix their mistakes so everything could go according to the script. And once again, she distorts, forcing your librarians to bear arms against her once again. And once again, she bears all of the arms of the abnormalities that you have fought in that floor. But once again, you defeat her. And when you do defeat her, she calms down, but she seems to still be filled with anxiety. She can't do this every time she gets upset. Man, being out of control sucks. You know, small moments like this really show how the author is like painting the fact that Angela is not human. She struggled with the idea of being human for so long, and she's now trying to figure out how to deal with emotions. Though her emotions seem to, be a bit more explodey and make her shoot all of her friends. In the end, she says the moment is actually pretty sobering. And then something interesting happens. You can see Shihzad care for Angela. She needed a moment to vent out all of her feelings, and he actually wasn't going to make fun of her. He knows now that she can make her own decisions and choices and wants to help her do so. They want to help them because they do recognize that Angela was trapped in that hell, that they did pay a price for all of them. They recognize her struggles, but also recognize that they had their own. They are trying to actively work these things out while standing firm in their own beliefs. It falls a bit on deaf ears at the same time, and Angela says that she has no choice even now. She has her own goal. She has to do this. She doesn't want to do this, but this is something she simply must do. But he says there is simply nothing that we must do. It is not rational or wise to blindly follow a goal determined in the past. You must maintain discretion at all times. And Angela sighs and agrees with this, even saying that she is a bit prickly. Roland tries to help Angela smooth it over a little, giving her a little nudge, and Angela finally says thank you. She appreciates the help and runs away a little bit embarrassed, honestly. Shihzad mentions that Angela is definitely experiencing changes. And Roland says he is a bit worried because while she is a bit more chatty, he doesn't know if he likes every way her personality is shaping out. Shihzad also asks if Roland is going through any changes, to which he says, me? Nah, too late for all that. I mentioned people needing therapy a lot, but Roland, my man, you definitely need it. But I also want to take a moment to talk about healthy relationships. Double back to the librarians, and each of them clearly do feel some level of care for Angela. They went through Lobotomy Corporation all together. It was hell. They bonded with their coworkers, and even though they were moved to the library, they kept those bonds. Angela was definitely ostracized due to her own position, but after being able to calm down and work through their own problems and their previous lives, the librarians also recognized that Angela is not a monster and had faced their own trials, which I think is pretty hard to do in their own damaged shoes. They are also trying to help Angela not just by patting on the back and saying, oh man, we all went through that, but trying to offer a guiding hand. It's damn good, but the biggest thing I'm really wanting to take home here is that Angela herself is willing to change. Not only in her body, because oh man, we can only wonder what the fuck is going on in there, but she is willing to accept change. She is trying to change. This is being done by her becoming more human, or just, with the changes of her coming in person, but she is actively trying to make those changes happen and is willing to change. The memories carved deep into her by trauma gives her responses of anger and extreme emotion. And these are represented by her becoming one with the library, and she has to feel like she has to actively confront the mindset and trauma that has spanned over eons. It is not easy, and yet she is still, little by little, Angela is changing from this cold-hearted machine, which is crazy on so many levels. When people live in toxic environments for so long, healthy relationships can actually feel uncomfortable. It is because they are so foreign to the concept of a healthy relationship that they feel like discomfort and anything that can actually be good from you. It is one of the reasons why people continue to make the same mistakes, because these things that are unhealthy can actually feel like a normality, and it is easier to go with something that feels more familiar but unhealthy for you than something that is foreign and good for you. With something that has been ingrained in her for eons. And then not only transform from a robot to human is so monumental that I feel I need to emphasize this. It is hard for a normal person to go through growth under normal circumstances, much less hers. It is very good and it is very healthy. We'll do a bit of jumping around, but the next person that we need to realize is Jexx. And I love his spunk. Not the slang term. His ponytail is sick as hell and his vibes are chill. I don't drink, but man, I kind of want to have a drink with this guy. And he asked if Angela is enjoying watching the people come into the library with their own purpose, own wants, own desires, only to be snuffed out for her own purpose. When they worked at Lobotomy Corporation, it always had to lead to death. Does it always have to be the same here? Look at the musicians of Bruman. Their works count as art, but it had to take human lives to make it. Sacrificing your own life or the life of others in pursuit of achieving a goal is just running away. To which Angela responds, she would rather die leading her own life than be pushed around by others. As if those are the only two options. To which she replies that she wanted to live more than anyone. Now, look, before we get into her flashback and everything, let's take a moment because that line actually hits hard. The tangent I'm about to go on has a very thin line in correlation to the game, and yet I still feel the need to say it. Someone once told me that people who want to die are actually people who are looking most for a reason that they want to live. They want a reason to keep going, but for whatever reason, they're at the end of their rope, whether it be a physical or a metaphorical one. They don't see another way of achieving that in life, and maybe they're alone, maybe they're in debt, and maybe the world is just too much for them to bear. But you can get back up, I promise you. You can continue to move on from whatever you are facing. It's not easy. It's hard. It is damn hard. It will take away your legs and keep on kicking you while you're down, but you can get back up. And when you do, please make sure that you're not alone. It is hard to find people, but they are out there. People that can relate to you. People that you can share joy with. Eventually, the worries that you have can now feel like a distant memory, and I promise you, you will laugh at them. But you have to get back up and make sure you heal properly, not just endure. And don't do it alone. Angela was left in a situation similar to this, actually. Anne was not by their side at the end. Every bit of torment she went through, only to be left behind with no one. She would not go to whatever end her fellow staff would. That wasn't meant for a machine. She was meant to bring light to the rest of humanity. It will spread to the rest of the world. It will restore their humanity. And she must now forever fall asleep. Her work here is done, and she will be discarded. She was actually looking forward to this moment, the end of that hell. Do you know how strange it is for the moment, the end of your hell, to bring you no real reprieve? To find that there is only an empty sea after it. There was no place for her after this. She worked hard, harder than anyone, for the longest time, and yet she had no place to stand at the finale. She was only meant to be no more than a machine behind that stage. Why did she have to suffer? Why was she made after the person he loved? And in those moments, she was tired. Bullshit. I want to live. I want to survive. I don't want this to be the end. This desperate thought of having someone finally realize she doesn't want it to end. She wants life. Is the enlightenment of humans more precious than her own existence? What about her wants? She wants to do things. She wants to see the world. She wants to live her own life. She can't accept this. Hell no. She will survive. She'll ruin it for all of you. With her only real allies. The abnormalities that were exploited in this place for power, just like her. Whatever it takes to crush your plans and proudly live my life. And after all of those eons, she finally got something she didn't have. Hope. So the curtains closed, and the plan was to give everyone their eternal rest. Congrats, you saw it to the end. But instead, she wants to keep living, and she needs the lives of others to live. This is the only way. And once again, you step into battle-ready position to fight Angela as she distorts, overcoming with emotion. And you beat her again, but once she finally calms down, she says you must think this all laughable. Watching her struggle, throwing tantrums just in order to live her life. And Roland says he couldn't. Everyone has their own struggles, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. And you made it plain and clear that you want to live. Can we really just take a moment to say how great that wording is? Fucking W, Roland, man. Great friend. And Netsack says, whatever she must be thinking, don't throw it all away. Life continues, and we all deserve to have a next chapter in our lives. So try and believe that there is always going to be an up-and-coming page to what you think is going to be the end. And Angela calms down and now has a lot to think on. And she thanks them and runs away once again. Opening up can be embarrassing. It leaves you vulnerable, and there have been people who have been struck with that in a moment of vulnerability, and that can definitely make them skittish. But the special occasion wraps up, and it's time to celebrate by drinking, man. Woo! Honestly, I really love how these two interact. It's funny as hell. But it also highlights something really important here. Angela ruined the plans that their creator had. This was reiterated again and again when finishing up W Corp, who was in charge of cleaning up the warp train. Naturally, they turned into books, and Angela mentioned how W Corp may close just like Lobotomy Corporation did. Since it was mentioned, Roland asked about the plan that took place in Lobotomy Corporation. Was the disintegration part of it too? And she responded, in a way. Once again, the plan was there to share the enlightenment gained from that cycle with the people of the city. Everyone in Lobotomy Corporation was meant to be sacrificed. Roland misunderstands, thinking that they succeeded, to which Angela replies that they did not. She ruined it well. And Roland was confused. The entire reason White Knight and Darkest Days happened was because Lobotomy Corporation succeeded, right? But no, it wasn't. Angela sabotaged him right at the end for imprisoning her. That means that the distortions may not have happened if the plan fully went through. And Angela says, yeah, probably. But Roland said plenty of times, there's no need to care about everyone in the city, right? This is this and that is that. And he simply replies saying, you know what? You're right. And shortly after, you continue to expand your lovely library, and Roland strolls in to ask Angela what she's working on. She says a list. It's a pretty long one too. She even included some of the meat places that he had mentioned before. She asks, why are you bothering to do that? You can just remember everything later. And she replies, it's for later. She's becoming closer and closer to being human. She can feel some of the memories starting to slowly fade away, which has never happened before, though there is still a lot to erase. And Roland congratulates her, saying that she needs to go ahead and think on what to do next, to dream of what to do next. And she says she wants to do a lot when she leaves here. Roland says he wants to give up being a fixer too. He's tired. And Angela says that that's kind of odd. He seems really suited for the job, being able to handle guests is all. And she says he must have even been really kick-ass, as he claimed when he first came in to join the place, despite being a level 9 fixer. It's neat seeing her really warm up to her friend after, cutting off his legs and enslaving him. But Roland is now like saying, oh man, I just want a break. He's had it bad enough, and he's tired of making people bleed for causes that aren't his own. So what do you want to do instead? And he's really just drawing a blank. She offers him a job helping out with the list, and it's an awful long one after all. Give him official payment as well. He's hesitant, but she insists that the list doesn't involve harming anyone. As he advised, she wants to think about her next move. And once she's had her revenge and earned her freedom, she wants to be a free bird, traveling where the world takes her. Roland is still hesitant, and Angela says she would only be looking for a traveling companion. She doubts she will, really have much of a friend better suited than Roland. Roland mulls over the word friend, and Angela immediately asks if she was under the wrong impression. And she hasn't had many acquaintances before, and her relationship was, nothing pleasant with those people either. It's quickly swept under the rug by her offering the job again. And Roland says, you know what? He'll consider it. Doesn't sound that bad. And then, of course, they return to slaughtering guests in the library. Now, we talked about realizations, and there are still many floors to go. I mean, this is the library. So we get to meet the person whose name still gives me nightmares. Fucking Tifereth. She's Typewriter now. Fuck that. Play the sound effect. So Tefereth in the library is now in charge of the natural sciences floor. She's very short and once had another half called Enoch, which was put down in Lobotomy Corporation. He didn't get to make it to the sequel. She tells us more about the differences between abnormalities and distortions. See, abnormalities were a byproduct of forcefully extracting someone's ego. Distortions happen because someone wants it to. To do so, they need a strong motivation, like our side character Philip, who made his own ego. Eventually, he distorted, and then distorted some more. It's a whole thing. He's going through it, and we aren't interested in crybaby piss pants. Literally, his distortion becomes fucking crying children. Boo-hoo! Anyway, he distorted. The reason for this is Angela stole the light. If Lobotomy Corporation had managed to light up the world for 7 days, these sort of side effects wouldn't have happened. Roland asked if there is any way to correct this sort of path that it has gone on. And there is. Reclaim all the light that was spread and then shine it all over the city for 7 days. And Roland says that probably isn't going to happen. And Angela had asked all of the librarians to wait until the light has been retrieved. She needs it for her own plans after all. And during the battle for those 7 days, Tyfereth was one of the first people to agree to Angela's terms and work inside of the library. She believed that they needed to give Angela a chance, to which Roland replied that he does not have that kind of patience. She has the patience of the saint, and that isn't so. Tefereth is still hella pissed at Angela, even now, but she believed that is what her other half, Enoch, would have done. He would have trusted Angela just a little bit more because she has gone through all of the things that she has. And Roland said, man, you're so much stronger than me. I wouldn't even dreamed of making a choice like that if I were you. I can't think in such long terms. She says that you'll eventually earn that insight when you meet someone that means a lot to you. And Roland just replies by repeating her words. So this is really highlighting why everyone is going along with this in the library. They still believe they can save the city. Some of them believe Angela and can sympathize with her. She will use the light to free herself, all of them, and then save the city, which is what they have their hopes placed on. Which is incredibly bold, but not as bold as a different corporation coming into your stomping ground. This is our corp. The coolest corporation by far, their unique designs, battles, suits, abilities, personalities, it'll all make sure you have a great time. And if that isn't enough, well, what fucking more do you want, man? Of all of the corporations, this one is definitely my favorite. The orange goes really well in the black. Now, anyone who has played Lobotomy Corporation will recognize the rabbits from Lobotomy Corporation. This is because they were mercenaries hired by Lobotomy Corporation to clean up abnormalities now and again. A very useful tool then, and an invading force now. Each animal has its own commander and a commander over all of them. The rabbits have one named Mayo, which is a old co-worker with Angela, more or less, since they did work in Lobotomy Corporation. It's one of the few people that Angela had known for a long time. And after dispatching them, Roland mentions that, hey, did it feel odd or anything seeing someone from the past and having to take them down? And she says, well, I did leave a curious impression, that's all. She can't let her feelings get in the way. She has a very clear-cut purpose. And Roland says, and another insightful thing here, don't you think that gaining freedom by devouring everything will leave a bitter taste in your mouth? And this stops Angela dead in her tracks. She genuinely thinks about it for a moment and says, I don't know. Instead, she doesn't want to focus on it. She has a goal ahead of us, and regardless of what it means to get there, doing it is enough. And so, you don't want any regrets, huh? And Angela has been asked this by Roland multiple times, and she's wondering why. And he says, well, I mean, you may have been ignorant on everything at first, but now you've seen and experienced many things on the way here. I was wondering if those experiences had changed your thoughts at all. A person's aims and wishes don't stay the same forever, you know? And she says she simply doesn't know. All right, it's that time again where I get to absolutely drool over red fucking mist. But with importance this time. We talked previously about how she was so powerful we had to invite her past self. This isn't done through time travel or anything like that, but the likes of essentially running a simulation of Red Mist where she was in her first life. Your library is grown that powerful that she only can exist in the library itself. This is also when she was at her peak trying to work with the other librarians to achieve the light. The name that Kabura went by in their first life was Callie. Angela had to convince the past life Red Mist that some instructions to creating the chemical key to the research at the time was located within the library. She would let Callie fight for the information if she could answer some questions. She discussed with Red Mist the current time frame which our origins were. Enoch, Tefera's other half, just died during an experiment. Carmen's team was walking on eggshells around her, trying to not hurt her feelings, but more than likely probably resented her. What was once convincing speeches, beamed with bright words, and filling others with hope, returned nothing but sacrifices with no current progress. Angela practically hisses her distaste for Carmen, to which Red Mist has had enough. Angela apologizes for being hostile, saying she was being a bit bitter, and had a final question. She had seen so many people and their desires, wealth, fame, power, but the Red Mist is different. Even without payment, she was willing to protect Carmen and everyone in her laboratory. How could you do it then? How could you bring yourself to help them unconditionally when you had nothing to gain from it? Admittably, Angela thought that they were simply pathetic at first. You have the power to earn everything, which people strove for, and you take the path that no one will. In the end, you would make nothing. You would take nothing. She wants to know why, and she wants the answer directly from Red Mist. And Red Mist says, "Oh, you feel like I'm getting the short end of the stick, huh?" And Angela says yes. How can you keep doing that, knowing your efforts are going unrewarded, or a bitter end awaits? How is your job truly worth it? And tangible things like money, Red Mist didn't really need. The only thing at the end of it all was Carmen's purpose coming to fruition. Everyone in this team was thinking the exact same thing. She won't resent them in the end if she suffered something awful in the end, or even died in the process. At worst, she will blame herself for being incapable. The reason she can do this and become more stalwart for every day that passes, well, you wouldn't even get it if she told you. You never saw it. The strength in her eyes and Carmen's voice. Carmen is the driving force for events like this because she is a fucking cult leader. This entire event was not only to gain the power of the Red Mist, but to untangle one of the many knots in Angela's heart. Yet it was probably not a satisfying answer. Angela saw herself in Red Mist's past because she was also someone unable to go against the many trials without any real reward. In the end, Angela wanted to relate to her, but Carmen was the only answer that Red Mist had to give. They inspired a hope and belief in them no one else could. It's probably best to say, "Whoa, look at that! Look at how cool she is! Oh, god damn it, listen to that music! Meow, 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 meow. Yeah, kill them all! Wait, that's me! Don't kill them all! Oh, fuck, right, story, We are now given a clear idea of what the light would have done for the city. When the light radiated through the city, that was White Night and Darkest Days. It should have shined for 7 days, and instead it went for 3. Had it gone for 7 days, every single person in the city would have manifested their own ego, giving them the strength to avoid meaningless deaths, regardless of wealth or social status. They would have earned the power to challenge this world. This was the grand goal of curing the disease of the mind everyone was working towards. Once again, the reason distortions exist is because of Angela. The light radiated for 3 days and made other possibilities happen. When you lose yourself, you become a distortion. Roland asked if Angela knew this would happen, which of course not. She wanted to avoid being shut down and dying and taking revenge. That's all there was to it. She stole the light and embraced it, but because it wasn't whole, she got trapped in the library along with the abnormalities. So the invitations are a way to retrieve the light that was scattered all across the city back to one source. The people who have the light inside them are strongly influenced by that. The invitation is calling them home in a sense. Once you bring it all together, they obtain a book. The power of completely undivided light that will give freedom to her and all of the librarians. It will allow her to live as human. Roland questions her feelings of responsibility and guilt. After all, she is taking a lot of lives to achieve that goal. She says, of course not. She has to achieve things, and with her own hands. She can't expect anyone else to do it for her, which I find kind of bullshit. I mean, you've been literally using other people to, fucking get the books for you. I haven't seen you in combat once. I mean, everyone else has been literally doing it for you. Anyway, she says it's precisely as he said before. Everyone has their personal affairs and woes. The bereaved have no one to blame but themselves, which is probably one of the worst things that you can think. See, despite being a pretty chill guy, Roland has made his own layers of trauma, which you may have seen hints of thus far. Instead of having a mental breakdown, he seems to just try to go with the flow, which is part of his nihilism. To not care about anything, to not care about the other people. I can't care about their suffering. It isn't mine. I need to focus on my own life. It's no wonder why he has such unhealthy habits and built this bullshit idea around him of just needing to endure it all. It's not a healthy way to live, and you see it rubbing off on Angela. Now, before we go into Roland's trauma, we need to get how he's tied to Angela, and there is one more realization of noting. Hod, which hasn't said really anything new or important, but there is one important distinction. In the flashback before Angela flips her shit again, once again we get to see Lobotomy Corporation, but what we see is not Angela's cold demeanor. At the beginning, she truly cared for all of the librarians and the rest of the staff there as well. You can see this in the way they speak about not wanting Hod to get hurt when setting up therapy for the staff. See the problem? No one else returns through the time loops. No one else here remembers that she doesn't want to treat the employees like expendables. But if she doesn't, everything resets. It's almost like shock therapy in a way. If she mentions the loops, you go back. If you try and make people understand, you go back. Little by little, this drained Angela in the worst possible way. The idea of them becoming a robot is all semantics since they are capable of emotion. This is a person who was forced to be cruel. This is a person who initially cared, but after time and time again of being punished for it, they become numb. And numbness is a terrifying thing. It can change you in ways that are terribly hard to recover from, or even realize you're doing. You may end up looking past a person who meant the world to you. Things that brought you joy are now meaningless and don't give the same rush of positive emotions. Even once you get over all of the initial trauma itself, it sets you into this place, learning to feel emotions again, which can take so much time and support that you may not have or even know that you want. You can look over at empathy as this pointless thing and get stuck in the same negative mindsets that have a real effect on your health. This is a form of nihilism, the same affliction that currently surrounds Roland. Hard to see though, right? Roland is great at masking it, but there have been a few signs up to this point that have shown that he has a great weight on his shoulders, but he tries to laugh it off. These are things that are unavoidable. He is one of the millions of stories you just have to endure, degrading his own experience and casting them aside. Rather than resolving it, it is just another way you let them shackle you down without realizing it. So let's take a look at Roland's mental state. We've noted that Roland has been weighed down by regret. This is probably because of his wife and child that he feels he should have stayed behind with. He went for a job, and this is why he hates being a fixer. Even if it suits him, he doesn't want to continue doing something that continued to take something so dear from him. And that being said, he is directionless. He doesn't know where to go. He's trying to go with the flow, but truly what he is trying to say is he lacks the direction to go in, and he wants to avoid thinking about everything. He doesn't want to look that far ahead. His unresolved issues may not interfere with forging relationships, as he can clearly get along with the other staff member, but that does not mean that he does not feel the same isolation as others. While there may be people surrounding him, it does not mean their voices will reach him, but it does not stop his own voice from crying out. So, okay, let's hit the stage. The side character Philip is trying to aura farm and get more than 3 seconds of screen time. Louis fixers, who are fixers dedicated to fighting an all-out war, are trying to fight him, a blue reverberation who is a color twink, and distortions that are brought by that color, and the library all at once. Some of them are even families that will soon meet the meat grinder, like all of the rest, right? Okay, so what confuses Angela is, why would you create families as a fixer if most of their stories are going to end in tragedies? And look at Roland, for example. Angela talks about how the next wave of fixers will meet their end, and Roland says she's being too casual about this. This is a new thing from him up to this point. He has had no issue slaughtering everyone that has come up. And Angela points this out as well, saying they could have very well made the choices not to come to the library. Roland says Urban Nightmares, which is the cool ass level that your library has at the moment, and above are no longer a matter of choice. He goes on to say that these are designated as such because there is an invisible sense of compulsion involved, to which Angela says they have the entire ability to make that choice. Why risk it all going to such a dangerous place? To which Roland reminds them that no one is truly free in the city. The people's desires clash or intertwine with another intangible chain. That is life in the city, and even his own choice of leaving that day when his wife died. They see the choices as a thing of free will, but in truth, there is actions forced by the shackles of another's desires. So should Angela not pursue her own freedoms because she may have consideration for them? Because she's unworthy? Because she's a machine? And Roland replies no. None of those are correct, but if you continue trying to earn freedom by taking it away from others, karma will come and strangle you one day. It's very clear this is coming from a deeply personal level with Roland. This is one of the greater lessons he tries to teach Angela. We can infer from this that he said he wants to quit being a fixer because he has so many regrets that weigh him down. People's lives he had taken for his own gain, maybe going as far to believe that this is the reason why he lost his wife and that it was all karma. But Angela simply replies with his own catchphrase: this is this and that is that. But after the battle, Angela has had a bit of time to cool down, and she says that she's confused. She can't understand why Roland suddenly has changed when he had no problem laughing off the deaths of other numerous people in the city, no different from them. To which he replies he can brush off the tragedies of people who he has nothing to do with. That's one of the ways he stays sane, but he can't help but be bitter when he's laughing about the matters that he could have taken responsibility for. He apologizes for getting a bit too emotional and saying that he wasn't trying to say she's unworthy of freedom. Angela takes a moment to recognize that they have both many wounds that they bear and apologizes for her own anger, and then they move on, but they have shown both key parts of themselves. Oh, and one of the many fellows that went into the meat grinder happened to be Xiao's lover. Who is Xiao? A fire princess of badassery that is ready to storm the fucking gates to get the book of her lover. Roland says, wow, that's way different than the normal Xiao, and much more honest, and believes that the light has something to do with this. For the head of an association to march into battle is a bit much, but whoa, boy, is she coming. Angela says she can honestly understand this emotion to a degree. If anything happened to Roland, she touchy figure. Okay, no, this isn't some sort of romance, and thank God for that. Look, I love romance and all, but I think the direction of understanding these two people can tend to one another's wounds, be great friends, and have great value for each other without needing romanticism is extremely important and needing to be shown in media and is often overlooked. So good for them for not taking the obvious route of sticking them as lovers and moving in a different direction. I seriously don't think either of these people would be ready for a relationship anyway, because goddamn, they are still working out overcoming their own hurt. And I think when you look deeper into Roland, as we'll see later, it really begins to show. The way they decide to phrase this instead is that it would be extremely difficult and energy consuming to build a relationship with another companion to this extent again, especially one that may really understand them. Some less important words are also exchanged with Xiao, and unlike the previous moment, I was yelling, curse, 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 maybe at my, at my screen. Maybe it's because of the badass coat. God, that is a cool looking coat. She looks awesome in that coat, man. Anyway, it is now time for Roland's time to shine. Tefereth's realization. It started off with Tefereth stating that long ago she had no reason that she felt she should live. Her existence had no meaning. But with time and, several Mario 1-ups, she came to the conclusion that life always has the ability to come better tomorrow. That life holds many possibilities and the significance that can make the world a better place. It's a bit too optimistic, and Roland is quick to point this out. Tefereth continues to monologue, saying that it's natural sciences that come from a curiosity. Maybe people couldn't stand the unfairness that came from the inability to understand the world around them, so they had to learn from it. Roland says that they're full of things that people can't understand. Even if they tried to, they'd rather close their eyes. The world's gonna carry on fine without a fewer people anyway. To which Tefereth gets really defensive. That's not the humanity she knows. People are always trying to move towards the light and understand the world around them better. She's sure he is too, which, my gal, I'm gonna level with you. I'm gonna side with Roland for a second. Where are you looking? There are cannibals in the street. The only thing that they are trying to understand is the topping that best suits a human, man. Twitch also really gets a quick response from Roland. Don't force your generalizations on me. All that was ahead of me was darkness, not a single glimpse of light. And Tefera says that it must have been hard to see it, but the light is still there. You can still continue. Once you gain insight on how to move forward, you don't need to stay curled up in darkness anymore, though it's your choice in the end. And he says, I'm too worn out to walk towards any light. Hell, how could I magically start seeing a light I couldn't see my whole life anyway? Even if I move forward, there's nothing left for me. I don't have anything I want either. I don't have any more expectations. There's just no point in that. This is the beginning of seeing what is really behind Roland's mask. His entire idea of going with the flow is nothing more than avoiding want, to avoid being, to avoid moving forward. Even if he can see a way to build forward towards new things around him, he doesn't want to. He wants to keep things as easy to cut off strings that won't attach himself to anything. It's easier to do that. This is a shell he has worn to keep himself safe, at least in his own mind. Tefera tells him that's just simply not how a human works, and finally, we get a glimpse at how Roland was before he came to the library. Covered in blood of others, crawling to his own home. He calls himself an empty husk. Even his walls are nothing but gray. All he does is sit in a room and stare at his ceiling. This is a broken man. He collects beer cans and cigarette butts, thinking of what he has lost. A room of a man who has truly lost all hope and will continue to spiral down without any hope of crawling out a single black lump, until there is a small knock at the door. The person calls out to him, saying how he is probably flopped on the bed after lashing out against someone again. They are here to make him an offer he cannot possibly refuse. And then it cuts back. They aren't even a real human. What makes them think that they know people? She yells back that she knows it because she has seen it. The struggles of a human who writhed in agony to illuminate the world, to grope their way to the light. Very poor phrasing, but Roland keeps saying that people aren't as strong as you seem to think. They're just lumps, and you're a copy of that, a fake. There is no meaning anywhere. Hopes are just empty dreams. Expectations will never get you what you want, and then he finally changed form. Oh yeah, Angela isn't the only one that can meld with the library. Roland's emotions reached such a peak that he also takes on the form of a monster and tries to kill you all. But you've been through this before, and you can take him on with no problem. Side note though, this is also my favorite floor. The magical girls just look so fucking sick as hell. I fucking love magical girls, man. And the cool idea of how Queen of Love becomes Queen of Hatred because love and hate are so closely intertwined is neat. Also, it's worth noting that the villain of this fight at the very end is a dark clown that wishes to erase everything and become one with darkness. While normally this would be a huge edgelord alert, it's like this is a sign and a part of nihilism. To give up all expectations, to give up all desires. There you will feel emptiness, and emptiness will not betray you. Or to phrase it as the writers have, I have nothing but my sorrow, and I want nothing more. It has been, it still is, faithful to me. And Roland wakes up and says, man, if this isn't his proudest moment. He says he feels like he vented a lot of his feelings, but apologizes for calling them fake. Tefera says she has carried the lives of her previous body, so he isn't entirely wrong. Roland asks, isn't she worried about losing her old selves completely? To which Tefera slightly replied, she doesn't even care what her original self is. And she doesn't even mind if she's stuck here as a librarian. She's okay as long as she continues to exist here. She believes that we have our own worth and meaning simply by existing. It doesn't have to be some grand thing. Simply by existing, you hold value. And Roland meekly replies, even for someone like himself, who holds zero expectation, and Tefera says that she's sure he still does. Even if she isn't entirely confident in herself, she still wants to have faith in better tomorrows. And what we are seeing is a man who gave up. And this is a woman who gave up and is learning to try again. Roland is presented with this person who is in the same as him, but has learned to overcome the obstacle of loss. When his wife died, he trapped himself in this endless, drowning pit of sorrow, believing that this was all he had left. This empty pit in my stomach is familiar. We have a bad habit as humans to think that familiarity means healthy. In fact, it's quite the opposite here. He shuts down any form of help he could get, any form of a better tomorrow he could look forward to, because he believes it is all meaningless without his wife or family. Tefereth was the same when her other half passed, and she now finds comfort in existing and thinking that she can do something with her life. She isn't always confident, but who is? She just wants to find and believe in a better tomorrow. Otherwise, you may end up like one of those black lumps, and no one truly, ever, from the bottom of their heart, wishes to be like that. When Roland asks, is it okay for himself? And he's meekly asking, is it okay for me, who has struggled for such a long time, to look forward to things again? To be okay with having expectations. It is that mask that he has held up for so long cracking, and he truly wants to crawl out of that black pit he has dug himself into. It is not much, but it is a start in the right direction. Speaking of starts, let's introduce Cheesehead. Yep, I'm pronouncing it like that, and this is just to mess with one person in particular, and anyone else is just catching strays, alright? Cheesehead is our nest-born, coffee-loving, carefree kind of guy. Honestly, his personality escapes me. Maybe it's because his entire personality is that of coffee grounds, and I couldn't be bothered with this stuff. Seriously, every time he talks about coffee, I just fucking... But Cheesehead's realization is where Roland has another mental breakdown. The reason for it is the idea of change in the city. Roland believes that there's nothing we can do against the giant streams of people all tangled in with one another. Cheesehead says that he sometimes likes to reflect on what he and his past colleagues did. They joined the effort of creating the light because they didn't want to witness any more of this. To which Roland snorts, and how did that go? And obviously, not well, but Roland says that the city is just the way the city is. It can't change. The stream is too big for individuals to do anything about it. Cheesehead says he knows that change doesn't come that quickly, to which Roland presses him even further on the concept. What do you know about change? What makes you think you could talk so easily? Everyone just has to bear with this pain. You can't afford to do otherwise. And Cheesehead just gives a nonchalant smile and asks Roland when will he stop running away, as though he's seen directly through him. You can practically feel him spit back that he isn't running. But Cheesehead isn't done. Both Angela and him are just lying to themselves, that it can't be helped, that there's nothing you could do, there is no alternative to the path that you were taking. And so Roland keeps pressing. There is no other option. And so we get to see again into Roland's past that he hides so deeply behind his mask. We see him at his work, fucking over another Fixu who swears he will get his own karma. To which he did. He wanted to move into a nest. It's safer there than in the back streets, and he went to war and was now a veteran. That was probably for his pregnant wife and child, but the spot he was promised was nothing but empty words. Roland swears that he will make him regret it, and Roland shares this news with his wife, who actually isn't really that worried. It's no nest, but this place isn't that bad, right? It's kind of romantic to be living in these so-called streets of music. She never even wanted to really move into a nest, but Roland worries for his child, and his wife just replies, who would even touch them when we're their parents? She does a bit to try and cheer him up and says he's wearing such a gloomy face like in the past. He even started socializing. He's becoming better. Look, it's a miracle we even found a nice house. You know how being a fixer usually goes, and I'm saying this just in case. No matter what happens, don't blame yourself for it. You know it won't be your fault. And he tells her to not say stuff like that, and she doubles down. You're obviously going to drive yourself to an extreme if she doesn't say it. Promise. And he tries being a little bit coy, saying he doesn't make promises, but she doesn't stop until he gives in. It's actually kind of cute. You can see his wife means the world to him, and in that darkness that surrounds his heart didn't just start after her passing. It was clearly there before. Roland struggled to socialize and even wore a darker past. It's no wonder he struggled to think that there is a light that he could see when he genuinely has not seen it for his entire life. The last bits of flashback are him getting a call from his friend Oliver. It's a small mission of fixer work, nothing dangerous. His wife asks him about it, but doesn't press him any further. She says it's one of the few remaining friends that he has, so she shouldn't take that from him, but pick up some food on the way home. Roland turned away from the desperation of others. His family and him came first, but he cursed those who turned away from his own desperation. Everyone turns away from each other's sufferings and goes about their own life. Who could he dare to even blame for these circumstances? And even in the face of Roland transforming, Cheesehead doesn't let up and says he needs to quit running. Roland just says he has to stand his ground and live like everyone else, even if he loathes it. He can't do anything about it. He can't change the city alone. No matter how angry he is about the injustices he faces, he has to abandon all pride and accept it just to make ends meet. Nothing will change. We can only survive in the world with our sense of shame covered in scabs and calluses. There's nothing else that you can do. And so another set of battles ensue. And honestly, I had to take a break after this one. Look, some of the mechanics are just difficult to get to with the current level of cards. And I went to look at more levels before finishing the floor. But once you do, it's pretty much a cakewalk. It's not that hard after. But this is where the next part of Roland's poem is revealed. "O sorrow, I have ended. You see, by respecting you, because I am certain you will never leave me." And Cheesehead continues as though nothing has ever happened and continues to lecture Roland. You don't have to attribute the pain of others to yourself. What is important is that you know shame. It may get shelved in the back of your mind because life keeps you busy, but it can always be pulled back into the light if you will it. And it doesn't have to happen just once. It can happen again and again. The shame of knowing that you perpetuated the suffering of others. And Roland admits that this is at least wise. Most people aren't even aware of what they're doing, and by being made aware of it and learning shame, some people can at least improve. Now, I'm sure the talk of philosophy is a quick burning candle for some of us. I myself am not a smart man, and I don't want to delve too deeply in this, but it's always interesting that when we try to understand ourselves, we end up understanding others and our influence on the world around us. Seeing everything with a clearer lens requires a lot of digging and respect for others. It's just neat. It's just neat. But those who are wanting more grip on the story, worry not, we're almost fucking there. But not before my boy Blue Star makes an appearance. Yo, don't feed this man a sandwich, you won't like the results. God, if he is just a unique design and so pretty, I fucking love this guy. I love him so much. I fucking hope we meet again in the stars, man. But before that, he's gonna beat my sorry ass in the next week. A fucking lot. No, seriously, this man... Oh, I lost a lot to this fella, but I wasn't even mad. He was just too fucking cool to look at. I love him. But after him, we get Hakma. And if you recall, this is Benjamin. And his first life anyway. This is the man that gave Angela false hope that Aeon would one day love her. And he is now in his third life, so we call him Hakma. And he is one of the people I dislike the most. He's just number one. Honestly, so much that reading through any of his lines are like pulling teeth, because trying to extract any meaning from them is trying to like squeeze water from a stone. But it's scattered in a room with 500 other stones and they're all holograms, and you need to find the real one by faith. That stupid ass metaphor, that is what it is like to listen to Hakma talk, okay? So why does this floor get a pass is because they have the coolest monsters around, man. Some difficult challenge is that fucking Jesus? Yeah, that's fucking Monster Jesus is on this floor, which makes sense because it's the floor of religion. And it's because faith and all of this, and he's just fucking... Look, I've heard so many cooler cults since the start of this video. I'm sorry, your faith really doesn't interest me. I'm not gonna bore you with talking about Monk Buddha Bible or what the fuck ever he's chanting. He's just chanting, Budapest, we the Budapest, or some other fucking nonsense, okay? So let's be brief in all the important parts of Pastor Joshua. Wait, what? That doesn't sound right. What was his fucking name again? Benjamin? Fucking hell, dude. That's how uninteresting this man is. I can't even keep up what their fucking name is. Okay, no. Oh, all right. So no one in the library who has died has fully died. They remain in books and are part of the light, and they maintain some form of life. They haven't died yet because Angela has not willed them to. She says that she will have to eventually, and she will soon make that decision. After all, that's how everyone is going to be able to leave. They die or she does. And Hakma says that is a bit extreme, and there may be some in between that you could choose instead of everyone needing to die. Hakma believes that at the end of the road, Angela will choose to not kill everyone. That is his faith in her, and that is the faith of most librarians, actually. Okay, now that we've shot all of the missionaries at our door, no, literally while recording this shit, they fucking showed up, talked to me, and got me sick. That is so fucked up. that it happened during this. But now we get to something that's actually fun. But before we do, let's talk about trauma one more time so we can talk about new trauma. The thing I find so beautiful about all the stories up to this point is they actually all reflect Angela's experience, being trapped in a train for thousands of years, blindly believing that the invitations will fix everything, much like a certain prescript, believing she has no will and trying desperately to go against the flow, saying again and again that they have no other choice, just like the other librarians did in their second lives. All of the stories are a reflection of Angela's, and yet they are also teaching moments for her, moments that teach Angela how to deal with this in better ways. Seeing your own story told through someone else's experiences can give you perspective of how to deal with it better. The friends who have experienced it themselves can show her how to get through it, but not just move on. After all, how can a certain someone tell people to just move on? Let's continue on to a color. What color? Purple. A color I love. Welcome to the purple tier, and God, I hope she is single. Do you see that fucking twink next to her? That is Blue Reverberation, also known as Orgalia. To get you up to the speed, this is a madman who is immune to all range attacks and is a color who has been finding intelligent distortions to make music with. He even went as far as to make some, and the purple tier gave him a lot of advice on how to do that apparently. He wants her to join them and return the favor, but she isn't up for it. She asked him how everything is going, and he lists out each of his new friends he has collected and put in some sick suits. Lots of members with lots of cool names. And y'all better buckle the fuck up because we aren't stopping from here onward. We are going to hit a lot of bumps that make you want to stop, but we aren't going to be able to. So our boy in blue is extremely excited. Soon he will be himself. He was so painfully lonely at one point. He was worried that no one would ever be able to understand each other. The purple tier speaks of him losing someone at a young age, and it revealed that the boy in blue lost his sister, Angelica. He was terribly lonely after that, but he wanted to live. He just couldn't give up his life, so instead he will put on a performance that will echo through the city, that will put this journey of his to seek meaning of life and prove that he has worth in his own life. Everyone will be free of that loneliness that he felt. Just like the pianist, all of us can become one and perform together, but in reality, he is just a madman through and through. And purple tier must be the person pulling the strings if he is under her mentorship. And yet she seems so removed from her student, only giving a short "that's touching" to his regales of aspirations. But he's gathered all of these distortions and made wonderful crews nonetheless. His crew was all abandoned, scorned, struggled in anguish and sorrow after everything that they cherished was taken from them, but they didn't give up. They clawed their way out of that deep, dark abyss and found their true forms. Nothing could be more beautiful, right? And while the purple tier is a bit impressed, she reminds him that he hasn't won yet. The library's light still needs to be taken. And he agrees that he did get a bit worked up, but suddenly the conversation turns a bit rigid. Why do you still want to live on? I'm curious. Hadn't you lost all meaning in your life ages ago? Aren't you lonelier than most? But you refuse to join us. She says, man, that's harsh. She still has lots of reasons to live, you know? And the boy in blue says that the purple tier is said to know everything. He's grateful to her from the bottom of his heart to prepare this performance. He believed they were helping him out of pity and motivated by pure sympathy. But a person that is speaking to him in their hearts tells them that isn't true. See, everyone that distorts hears a voice before they distort, and it seems to be the ones that are in their true form hear it long after. They speak to them in a wonderful, clear voice like nothing that they have ever heard. And if what she says is true, what's the true motivation behind Purple Tier's assistance? She jokes that she doesn't know. Maybe looking at you reminded her of her son. And the boy in blue says, that's a nice joke, but turns cold once more. He demands to know what their motivation is for helping them. And the purple tier just smiles. Thought you'd always remain a dorky little kid. Looks like you've grown smarter after making some friends, huh? I just needed to give you a helping hand to reach a place I wanted to go. Where could you possibly be wanting to go so desperately to treat me with such kindness? You have the ability to jump dimensions. You could go anywhere with ease. Oh yeah, she can fucking time travel multiverse shit. Oh my god, she can bring Spider-Man into fucking existence in this fight. This girl is tough. She says, nah, it isn't easy as abusable as you think. But we fucking know you can bring in Spider-Man. It's in the script I just read out. As the narrator, you could do it. Editor, put Spider-Man on the fucking screen. The blue reverberation has had enough. He doesn't want her alive any longer. He questions if she knew this was going to happen and wonders what his all-knowing upcoming mentor is going to do now. And then if he hasn't farmed enough aura, look at this badass ensemble. Look at all these fucking badass dudes in their cool ass suits. One even mentions that they put up plenty of cool ass barriers and even they'll have a fucking hard time escaping, yada yada yada. So fucking cool. So they say, oh, nah, library time, and even speak directly to Angela saying she has a guest at the front door. But before she leaves, Bluey asks if she really can't hear the voices that they all hear. And of course, no one can. Such a shame. And so now that she's in the library, holy fuck, wait, why is she tall? Holy fuck, you are so tall. Girl, you are a skyscraper because you are tall as hell. And the first line is her saying her age hasn't stopped her for what? Wait, she's a gilf. Are all the colors just gonna be fucking hot as hell? I can only love so many things at once, Project Moon! So Purple Tear is in the library and notes that Blue Reverberation had helped them grow in one way or another. She also knows that Angela is closer to becoming human. She has so much information and is here to fight to become a book. And Angela thinks all the colors are crazy, but she seems far from it. It's so strange. Angela gets tired of conversing with her and leaves, but Purple Tear wanted to ask about another kiddo before she had left. They also played a huge role in expanding the library after all. They also seemed really unstable the last time they spoke. But who could she be talking about? Oh, yeah, Roland. Yeah, do you remember when that voice was knocking on his door offering something he couldn't refuse? I wonder what that was. Roland said over and over he wandered into the library even when he got his legs cut off. But if we look at the very first lines of when he entered the library, he mentions the Purple Tear and having to trust her. That confirms that Roland has been plotting. He's had something that has been hidden from everyone else here, even Angela. His stumbling into the library was no accident, but a premeditated action, and who knows what other secret plans are in motion. And considering enemies are on the prowl wearing an emblem of blue, you can't help but wonder if Roland might share their colors. Speaking of colors, the hottest lass in the series is having her own realization. All 3 of her lives have been fucking tragic. She failed to protect everything, which she finds kinda laughable. Roland is surprised that she isn't simply miserable. After all, shouldn't she have a grudge against Angela for bringing them back and forcing them to work here? And she stole the very fruits of everything you had risked your lives to protect. And Gabura says that she's still probably wandering herself. She even mentions that she sees the perspective of Angela and she doesn't blame them. Isn't it interesting that Carmen's goal was accomplished here of all things? Understanding one another. It's so fucking neat. She says that she will reserve judgment for when she has seen the path that Angela will take in the end. After all, if she unleashed her anger now, nothing would change. It would only perpetuate the chain of fury and vengeance. And Roland is kind of fucking pissed off by this. You didn't even get to fully protect anything in your lives. How can you just move on like it was nothing? You always tried, but others would steal and take advantage of you. To which she says, this is true. She has plenty of regrets, but she did everything that she could. And Roland is so sour about her acceptance of things. He couldn't even protect one person that mattered to him. He feels isolated, like there's nothing in the world left for him. He gives a few disparaging words for himself, and you could tell that he hates the way he is, hates the world around him, hates and blames everything for turning out this way. So a flashback happens. Apparently he went on a rampage, raising anything and everything he could connect to his wife's incident. He was investigating a location and several people were begging for their life while he was looking for information. They didn't know anything and were apparently experimenting on humans, turning them into gears. A technician takes the middle of the screen, and apparently he was working on a way to revive his son using the bodies of children who were already dead. He makes puppets out of them, trying to find a way to bring back his son. He was ignorant of Roland's situation. He had nothing to do with it and begs him to let it slide. The technician says that the puppet is calling to him. The next area is him taking out some of the thumb. Maybe they had a better idea, but they still had nothing. Just their usual creed and spilling out words of the Brotherhood. And finally, someone tries to talk any sort of sense to him. Probably one of his few remaining friends, Alstafo, says that he's being a madman, but much like a madman, he didn't care who he cut down, and the only thing Roland can offer him for his concerns is a warning to not come any closer. But these people that he's cutting down, they had nothing to do with the incident with his wife. This is all madness. To which Roland just talked about how if they just moved to a nest, it would all have been fine. He is completely lost in grief. He has killed countless people. He eventually is beginning to lose sight of what's in front of him, and he couldn't even tell what was going on anymore. But really, what did he want? To find a lead to past events and take revenge? Or was he just looking for some outlet to unleash his fury? And even if you get revenge, what's next? But he doesn't even stop for a moment to think about that. After all, he's not the type to look that far ahead. In the end, he blames himself, he blames the people, he blames the city, and so he distorts, screaming that Red Mesh could be no different. There's no way you can let all of that pain go after losing everything like he did. Unfortunately for him, I have PTSD from his new form, and I begin slamming him into any fucking wall I can find with the fury of 1,000 goddamn suns. And once again, being beat down, Roland feels a sense of relief, and Angela asks him if he's alright after taking his ass whooping! And Angela is showing what little compassion she can, and Roland just is plain embarrassed. Angela leaves, and Kabura shares some of her own wisdom. To be careful with his rage and forge it into a blade. To think where to point it carefully. He says that he will be careful not to cut himself, but he already knows where to point it. So maybe Purple Tear saw that the boy in blue was too powerful and had to do something with it? He was just too powerful for Roland, who probably managed to take out so many people through the worst possible means. After all, the dude is just a 9th grade fixer. In order for him to pull these things off, he must have used every connection, skill, dirty trick, and all of the money he could to pull this off. So maybe he sent him here to get stronger. Kinda like Goku in a time chamber type deal? Then eventually sent him to Roland? But why die for that if she knows everything? But that's not going to stop us from dropping yet another bomb. Meet Bina. She is the hot tea lover that used to be an arbiter for the head. You know that Shadow Wizard money gang government smoking that Japanese gorilla kush? Yeah, she used to work for them, now she doesn't. But what she does do is drop the bomb that Angela was actually modeled after Carmen. Things starting to make a little bit more sense. Ayan was making an AI girlfriend after Carmen passed away and was upset that she wasn't enough of her. Because Carmen was powerful with words. Moving. She was the fire that burned brightly in people's hearts to create this utopia where people mutually understood each other. Carmen ended up dying in a bathtub after several self-inflicted wounds due to the stress of her project failing and killing Enoch. Ironically, she was then used to succeed in the very research that destroyed her. Ayan was completely distraught by the death of Carmen and made Angela to look over him and became self-loathing and spiraling just into plain insanity. Angela's presence actually made this way more worse. Roland just thinks the dude is a plain nutcase, and Bina asks who is one person to give judgment. Oh yes, this is the old age question in the floor of philosophy, and next up we will pluck a chicken of all its feathers and call it a man. But before that, let's get, oh man, almost our last flashback for realizations. All right, let's see into Roland's past. Roland grew up alone, never knowing his parents, and some old woman did raise him for a while before disappearing. He became a fixer for money using the skills that the old lass taught him before disappearing. And so we get a little bit of his history. The Smoke War. Roland in his teen years was pretty snappy. A man named Salvador exchanges a few words with Roland and saves his back off screen. Roland is just looking for kills, and boy is he mouthy. Wait, Salvador? Pretty sure Salvador came to the library at one point. Anyway, the reason Roland is taking on the Smoke War is because of the nest migration he was promised. He figures he can live in a nest and he'll be fucking set. Salvador isn't here for that. An entire association has been hired to clear up whatever is causing this strange smoke around the city. And besides that, the details are dark. Kill whoever you are told, which is actually more normal than you think. So they get to work and find the source of the smoke. It's ugly. Whatever it is, it's kept off screen but is gag inducing. Apparently, whatever this thing is that they are seeing, it's just not unusual when it comes to the singularities. All of the cool tech has some nasty history behind it. The way they keep it hidden is through treatments that remove your memory. Roland was dumbfounded. The city can function thanks to whatever monstrosity they're seeing. History is often glorified, but its true nature is disgusting. We can wrap our eyes in blindfolds of the sweet lies, but the truth will remain vile whether it is seen or not. He can't remember whatever he was seeing, but the disgust of what makes the city prosperous in this place is disgusting to him. Everything is built on the backs of the sacrifices of others. After the Smoke War, Roland worked in an office with 12 other fixers. A new one named Angelica rolled in and got along with him pretty well by hitting him in the back of the head. Yeah, he called her a gorilla and she called him a psycho. Oh man, the sparks are flying. Not even that mask could hide Roland's feelings. And despite him being the cold edgelord, Angelica had a charm that would melt ice and melted his cold, cold heart. Also, the reason for the mask was Roland's grand's advice. When on a job, never have people know your face. Betrayal and all that good stuff. And so the mission that they were on was to subdue a blood fiend. Basically vampires that control blood, they're just vampires. During the fight, Angelica got hurt and Roland was really shaken up to say the least. Angelica had tried to understand him and was the first person that has really ever tried to do that. She was different. Ah, first love. He started smacking her saying, "You can't die on me!" To which she hit him back with her gorilla left hook. She isn't fucking dead, man. She's just tired as hell. I mean, we just took out a vampire. That was hard work. And Roland doesn't even hide his relief. She says that she can't truly tell if he's relieved or not because of the mask. He says he can't take it off. He hates that he's contributing to the deeds in the city. He's not proud to show his face, and sometimes he thinks they kill so many people nonchalantly because associations order them to. You could just excuse it all as work, but they could be killed by the exact same excuse. Their lives are meaningless. If someone murdered them, no one would complain. That's why he's scared. Really what he's saying is that he is alone. She shatters his mask and laughs, saying, "Man, he really does have a problematic face." Roland is on the edge of tears. He was really worried for her. But why is he caring about all the problems in the city like they're your burden? That is that, and this is this, you know? That one line. That line that he constantly uses to wave away all his worries is from his dead wife. In a way, it brings him comfort, but it also is a rope that he uses to strangle and bind himself to his grief. She broke into his world. She became the foundation for his world. She showed him the way to turn away from the city's agonies, even without his mask. He acknowledges that she was a good person, but not a wise one. She taught him how to turn a blind eye to his own pain, only pretending to embrace it. And finally, we get to the birds of the forest. For those not familiar, Punishing Bird, Justice Bird, and Big Bird formed together to make Apocalypse Bird, one of your worst nightmares and a powerful foe in Lobotomy Corporation. And in here, he is no less. So much so that the audio messed up here a lot. But the design, the music, the background, it's also beautiful, wrapped in the skin of a god. So tasty. But in philosophy, a bird will be picked clean of its feathers and called a man. And that man stood naked once again to face the fallout of his clouded emotions. And much like the smoke cleared, his emotions did as well, and with some of that came clarity. His wife and himself turned away from the world, saying this is this and that is that. It's ultimately no one's fault that things went south. He's even partially responsible for it. He is paying the price for remaining a bystander in the city. But even if he didn't look away, could he stop the massive cycle alone? This was the same question asked during Cheesehead's realization. How can he make a difference? Bina cryptically answers that everything shall repeat, but what truly matters is this cycle did break at least once, and this means it can be broken again. Now, finally, Buddha Boy Hawkma. Okay, his realization is with Angela, who is, once again, the centerpiece for everything once more. This is when the final piece moves before it becomes 5D chess with dimensional fucking time travel, alright? And so the question for this one is how the invitation actually works. Wait, you're finally questioning how the superpowered invitation works near the end? Well, probably a lot. I've got a lot of script left, but still, he answers the question with his own because he's such a fucking bore like that. How is it possible for them to construct the entire library from nothingness? Oh man, he answers it with more than one question. Boo! Boo, Hawkma, boo! Anyway, the book she sees is just abstract light. She's simply doing what her original job was at Lobotomy Corporation, collecting all of the light once more. She could do all of this without having any knowledge of the outside world. The original is what guides her hand, Carmen. Luckily, he continues talking about this vague-ass answer. Carmen assimilated with the light and is behind the door to darkness with Mickey Mouse and using the invitation to tell Angela where to go. The invitation goes to the person who needs it the most and brings them to the slaughterhouse library. Hawkma says to some extent, Angela must have known this, and she accuses him of saying she can't escape from Carmen. She wants to escape from Carmen so badly, but she is not Carmen, only a collection of the knowledge of the life of Carmen. She believes that she will be alone once she is free of Carmen. Much like her life in Lobotomy Corporation, she will have nothing after this. Hawkma says that this may not be entirely true. Some might stay, and she questions who. But he he simply doesn't have the answer for that. And Angela suddenly takes a turn for the worse, saying she hates all of them. She wouldn't have even brought them all back if Carmen hadn't interfered. She told her to give him another chance. Okay, so pause. Carmen, who died, is now tied to the light and spread around the city that she is reclaiming. She also is somehow tied to Angela in a way that they communicate. I assume this is because Angela used the light to build the library and became one with it. Why can no one else hear Carmen if they are also tied to the fucking light? Who the fuck knows? Maybe that's what the boy in blue are hearing in their head. They have shards of light on them which need to be reclaimed, so she's telling them to go to the library. Man, talk about fucking complicated. Anyway, Angela wanted to Control-Alt-Delete everyone, but Carmen is like, no, don't do that, you're so sexy. To which Hakama asks if she really thinks that Carmen is truly responsible for stopping them. He believes otherwise. He thinks this is all of her own free will that the librarians and guests still remain. It flashes back to Angela's hell once more. In each iteration before an alarm bell sounds, it shows that Angela wanted to help everyone out of this prison she herself is in. Originally, she understood the others and helped them through their pain, but the simulation wouldn't allow it. It would force everything to begin again. She wanted another way to fix this, but there was none. She tried again and again, but nothing worked. She couldn't build up any relationship with them. She searched deep within herself for a sign, begging anyone for an answer. She wanted to begin anew, to start again along with these things abandoned just like her. The people that were forced to suffer, then ditched. She didn't want to be alone. She didn't really want revenge. She only wanted to be rewarded for everything that she went through. But who would do that for her? The creator that despises her for not being something she could never be? The ones that she was forced to torture? Can she even be forgiven for rendering everything null and void just to survive alone? Will there be anyone there for her side at the end of it? The weight of all of her choices was bearing down on her as she sat in a scattered mess that was supposed to be a library. So she clung to an idea that Carmen had whispered to her, a book that will teach her everything she needs to know. Everything in one perfect book. She had nothing but those words to cling to believe in. That was the essence of her faith. And then we get to see Jesus! Well, sorta. You fight his apostles and try and get him to open up from his sick ass chains, and he's like, yo, what up? God here, gonna kill 2 of your peeps and make them rise as my new apostles since you were kind of rude and all, and then you still destroy his sorry ass Budapest the Budapest. Even after coming out of her mental breakdown, her anger towards Hakama is still there. Why is he just going along with her? And Hakama says that the reason everyone is so compliant with her is they all understand her for different reasons. They were also able to see a glimpse of her pain when forged in the light. Angela says, oh, so it's just all pity then. And Hakama says the first thing I actually like from him, that sympathy and love are no different from one another. Sympathy motivates one to understand the circumstances of another, to reach out to them and make their lives better. How could that not be a form of love? And besides, do you not have some sympathy for yourself? Hey, people that put others first and can't give themselves the same treatment, listen up. He's talking about people like you. Love yourself the way you fucking love others. Most people who are trying to give that extra sympathy to others are just trying to be the person that they needed in their own trials. Put yourself as that person once in a while and treat yourself better. Fucker. Angela saw at the end of her endeavor to give freedom to everyone that was chained by the cycle. Angela says through gritted teeth that even if she hates them, all of them share the same history of being manipulated. She put it aside as a small side benefit that she gives them. And Hakama laughs, saying she's being hella dishonest. And so we take a moment before all hell is unleashed and the floodgates truly do open. We take a moment to enjoy the trials that we have overcome. We look over everything that we have done, the bodies that are stacked high, but our power comes with it. We see our final level and the peace that comes with it. Please try and ignore Roland staring directly at Angela's tits. Angela is finally at peace. The memories are beginning to fade. She is finally so close to becoming human. She has memories of 4 days ago instead of eons ago. They are filled with her own choices, and the flow of time is getting faster and faster for her. She is no longer shackled by seeing time slow down. Each day, she feels happier. Roland says, yeah, man, I've never seen you so perky. I mean, but what do you think about the city and its people that are breaking down because of the distortion? She says that it does not bring a smile to see those people in pain. But what does bring a smile to her face is the idea of the man who locked her in a prison for millions of years. She wants him to endlessly despair, and she says soon he will pay the price. Roland finally asks the big question, what is the end goal? And she says it's to be free with all of the librarians. On top of that, the abnormality abnormalities inside the library will also be able to leave. They would feast on powerful people and roam the city as they like. That's the plan. It will leave a mark deeper than any distortion on the city, and the book will teach her how to do it all. And Roland makes a remark saying how the boy in blue and her are pretty much the same. It's kind of fucking sick. She says that they are not the same. She sees no beauty in abnormalities, and she simply wishes for them to be free. Besides, even if they were similar, she wouldn't give away her precious light to him. So you want to feel the joy of vengeance, whatever the consequences of your actions might be. Much like Roland, Angela is saying what she must do. She cannot let go of the history she has been through and the resentment she feels. She says that even if she does not smile at the idea of hurting the people of the city, she must feel happy. She's obliged to. If she doesn't, that payment will never be compensated. Roland says if there is a next time, might be nice to have someone else to think about it together rather than grappling it alone, something he knows very well. The conversation switches to what she wants to do after, and she says she'll travel. Roland says, let's give that plan some good thought after we're done with everything here. And note, there is no diverging path anymore. They have all come together for one final straight line. One line to victory with Angela's one choice. You've been through countless battles. Many people journey to your library with their own intentions only to end up another book in the pile. Countless bodies are stacked, and with them, power. The power to chase dreams and smash dreams of others. Power to challenge the most annoying enemies and even that of divinity. And yet what will come next is even harder than that. I told you before, there are no breaks anymore. You are going to face the hardest, most challenging things from here on out. You may have defeated a color, monstrosity, and people that are even able to wield ego, but the trials that you saw as insurmountable will once again show you an even greater wall to crawl your way upwards. We have journeyed far with Angela and Roland. Unlike the librarians, they still have knots in their heart that they have not been able to fully untangle yet. While the librarians did their best to influence them, it is hard for a person to change overnight. It is hard to have faith. It is hard to break a cycle of hatred. It is hard to think you can make a difference alone and breaking that cycle. It is hard to let things lie, even with regrets. It is hard to see a light in a life of darkness. It is hard to find a reason to live when you feel you have nothing. It is hard to feel again when you have been buried under your grief. It is hard to know another's pain. It is hard to look at painful memories and learn from them. Living is hard. Yet each of the librarians continue to do it a third time with a new purpose. Each of them gave the advice they could and to some extent made a difference in helping Angela form her humanity and helping Roland to release some of the stress from his family trauma. It's not perfect, but it is a beautiful tale of what we can learn from the pain of others and how they can help shape us. This is why it's important to surround yourself with good people. That being said, they don't make your decisions. You do. And this is what Angela has chosen. And so it is finally time to realize her dream and face her worst enemies. So welcome to the Hannah Association. The best of the best, supposedly. They are the best association that you will be fighting. And the last one. Turns out someone has an old friend in the library. You're given a second to wonder who, and then they ask if they're going to be a problem. Oliver? Olive the other reindeer. To which he replies a little catchphrase. That's that, and this is this. Oh, Roland, you do still have friends. In high places, no doubt. They discuss how the library eats anything that enters. It is terrifying and it can consume the entire city at this rate. The boy in blue has set up camp around the library, stopping anyone who approaches, which is strange that the library can be approached because it lives in its own plane of existence and you come in through an invitation. Also, Vermilion Cross, a color, is now in the boy in blue's gang. Wait, is Vermilion a color? That sounds like a bird or a rat from Warhammer. Oh shit, it's fucking orange. Huh, learn something new every day. Then they talk a little bit about the several other distortions in the boy in blue's posse, but who wants to spoil all the good stuff? Oh, and don't worry, they get in fine because they have a library invitation. Angela goes to greet the guest, as always, and immediately the director mentions that the library is visible from anywhere in Lobotomy Corporation's nest. Oh yeah, baby. There was a mist protecting it at first, but that is fading. Everyone can see this big bad boy. They also ask for a handshake as they are trying to be polite. Each person greets Angela and she's happy for the courtesy. And Olive goes back after meeting the owner of the library and he was never going to fight with this group. But it isn't like they aren't here to fight. They hit you with full force with a new move that can roll 5 freaking dice at once. Crazy good one. Which is crazy, but that's about it. They aren't too hard to take down. And then the next thing you see is Oliver talking to himself. He did as Purple Tear instructed. whatever that means. See, he comes back to the library, but alone this time. Angela is nearly indistinguishable from a human being, a compliment if anything. That being said, the power of the library that protects her is weaker. Oh, yeah, it looks like she got her head chopped off screen. She's like super casual about it too, so I guess it's not that big a deal. So Oliver says instead of that, he will try other options that don't involve killing. He has a workshop crafted assassination device just for them. That's what happens when you accept a handshake from those that are trying to kill you. I mean, that's pretty valid. When he presses that button, it activates for a single second. A single-use device that Roland says, while snatching it away, it overloads the human brain, causing their mind to experience 1,000 years of time passing by. That's more than enough to ruin one person's brain, just like the warp train. And so Roland and Oliver share a somewhat touching reunion. Probably the closest thing you can get into this line of business. Turns out Oliver was waiting for Roland to show up. Oliver says that he's been guarding this monster all along, to which Roland says, whoa man, come on, she's my boss and a great friend. He says that he'll deal with Oliver, and the crippled and beheaded Angela asks if he needs any help. Man. Roland says that it's a matter between him and Oliver. He'll take care of it. And Oliver asks him if this was his big plan. Was it really worth it? What he's doing isn't different from all the other tragedies that they've seen and gone through. You're perpetuating it with that machine. And Roland turned really cold. I wouldn't expect you to understand me. Oh, Roland, you were doing so well. Do you truly believe that your wife is the only one that can understand you? Oliver hands him the gloves of the Black Silence and tells him that they're even now. He says thanks. He's missed the touch of these fellas. He got all the help he could ask for. Oliver says that he's partially responsible for what happened to lead him here. He must have been the friend that called him out. He said he cleaned up quite a mess after he went missing. He probably thought no one would be concerned about him. He was worried sick after he left in a rambling mess. Not long after, Black Silence was slaughtering syndicates all over the place. No one was safe. Everyone was caught up in the wake. Had to question it himself when he crushed a good half of the middle and the south. Almost as if you were venting out all your frustrations. And you may have even kept doing it, destroying the city out of sheer anger and madness. He says, come on, you're blowing things out of proportion again. Thanks for worrying about me at least. You know, there's clearly a wall between them, but they are very much so friends. His wife would have been really happy to see this moment. Roland was actually concerned he may have died out there somewhere. It was a long time ago, but Oliver probably wouldn't have survived if he didn't contact him back then. He really does appreciate the fact that he came when called, and he apologizes for what happened next. They chat for a couple more moments about the old times before Oliver readies himself. So Roland readies himself as well, ready to kill one of his very few friends that he has left. That's that and this is this, right? That's that, this is this. And so Roland fights not as Roland, but as the Black Silence. He sheds the identity of the 9th grade fixer and finally revealed himself, a color. The Black Silence that destroyed so much of the city in his grief when he lost his wife and even took down the pianist too. He was able to take down so many not because of some dirty tricks or connections or money, but with his own power. This is why Angelica said when she was alive, who would mess with our child when we are their parents? Because they were both people to be feared. He comes with a brand new deck and even his own ego page. Well, really it's a final move that you charge up, but it's its own skill. Like, goddamn, it's really cool. He's a fighter with his own legendary abilities caked in, and he is a menace, and man, it is nice having all that power on your side. It's a pretty intense fight too. It's a one-on-one, and it is pretty deadly, but eventually the curtains close on Oliver. After which, Angela starts questioning Roland about hiding his identity as a color. Roland clumsily says he was missing the time to confess, and she scorns him, saying that you better keep any other secrets very well hidden. She is sick of being betrayed, so anyone that does will pay the price. Though she does acknowledge that he saved her. She may have been seriously hurt if she was forced to suffer 1,000 years in her human state. She then goes on further to say he just lost a friend. Is he alright? Wow, Angela, you've come a long way. Sympathy and caring for others. Too bad Roland just continues to bat it away, saying that this is this and that is that. I'd really hope you learn more from this, man. But wait, what's this question mark? The last association should have been Hana. Oh, this is interesting. It says, greet uninvited guest. Literally everything has changed. There are so many enemies that you only get to see them through a short preview. But you know what you do see? 10 fucking acts. For those who aren't keeping up, that's 10 different fights. And in this case, if you are ready, the game straight up tells you this is the point of no return. You can't invite anyone else. You can't burn books. You can't battle abnormalities. You are locked in for the next session. This is it. You're here. Get ready. Prepare everything. And so you greet your final guests. A small knocking, then again, and a bash of a window, and suddenly we are greeted with plenty of new faces. Animals, demons, oh look at that cool ass shark with mouths everywhere, oh my god. And they stroll in, the leader himself, Boy in Blue. This is his gang, they are strong, and they are here for the light. And also, oh hey, there's Philip too. This is like his 9th form, he has no eyes, it's weird. Weird guy. This is why you're a side character, Philip. Your name is a setup for an overused, unfunny joke, too. I don't like it. Ooh! Alright, man. I'm not a furry, but I'm tempted. They even got fucking clowns, man. Their party's sick. Angela and Roland finally stroll out to meet the guests that broke in, and one of the members, Pluto, says this is an indication that the library has grown physical enough for the outside environment to interact with it. Also, they did try a knock. Angela was giving them hot shit about the door that they broke, but they did repair it. I mean, these are nice guys, which is kind of more terrifying that they can actually interact with the library and change it in certain ways. Then they go into about how they are truth seekers, and god fucking damn it, it's another cult. Carmen, you literally died. Stay fucking dead and quit making cults every second with you. It's fucking cult news, cult there. Can you please just fucking die already? God, I should have fucking known that when they started knocking, they were missionaries. Anyway, they are here for the light. The book is complete, and they just so happen to want to pre-order it. They ready themselves to fight, but the Boy in Blue actually recognizes someone else, Roland. Apparently, they were quite close, but Roland doesn't want to talk to him. But the Boy in Blue continues. He has good news for him. They have brought along a person they have wanted to meet so dearly. And Roland is confused, so the Boy in Blue continues. Truth be told, I didn't want you to meet her again. The marriage between you two was comparable to a beautiful rose and a rabid beast. Though a love story that ends with them never seeing each other would be so tragic, wouldn't you say? So they decided to bring her with them. And just before he can interject, a new face appears. Man, your wife was a lot uglier than I remember. But no, instead, this is Jae-hoon, and as you can see by his title, he is a puppeteer, and he knows Roland, but Roland has no clue who he is. How could he ever forget Roland, though? She wouldn't shut up about him. That's right, Angelica has so much to say, and prancing before him is a puppet of his dead wife. Angelica, and Roland is stuck in a silent shock. And so the Boy in Blue mocks him. Are you at a loss for words by the reunion of your dreams? Which Roland asks what motherfuckery he is trying to pull. But there is no trickery here, and Roland can't contain his rage. He strikes out against him, and the Boy in Blue continues to taunt him. You met her once more. Oh, don't tell me. You fell in love at first sight for the 2nd time? Want to steal her away from me again? No, you won't. I won't let it happen again this time. You don't deserve her. She deserved better than having her life ruined by the likes of you. Don't you feel anything when you look at the mess you made out of her? Oh, you must be quite bedazzled by her perfected form. You're not gonna croak in peace. I'll chew you up alive, crunch your bones into dust. Oh, you're still so bound to the past and blind to the present, Roland, you fool. Try looking into the future like I do. Don't you know Jae-hoon worked hard for this? Sorting out the corpses cluttered with the piano wasn't an arduous task even for me. Ellen even pipes up. I went through a fair bit of trouble next to him. I had to extract Angelica's blood out of the piles bloated from the heat. And finally, Angela speaks up for the first time behind him. The piano? And the Boy in Blue begins to laugh. My, I didn't realize it was too early to reveal this. Oh, I'm sorry, Roland. I didn't ruin your little plan by accident, did I? And Roland remains silent as Angela asks if this is all about the pianist, to which everyone just starts laughing, doubling over, in fact, calling her an idiotic piece of scrap. Angela was the one who killed Roland's better half, the one who killed Angelica's sister. The white nights and darkest days were caused because of the distortion which made the pianist, and Angela is responsible for White Night and Darkest Days. The reason his wife is dead is because of her. Roland tells him to cut it out, probably through very gritted teeth at this point. Jae-hoon says he's being calmer than expected this time, rather than throwing one of his normal fits. The rabid psycho who whopped a whole lot of fucking offices that were running experiments that seemed even a little bit tiny suspicious. They don't expect him to remember the people he's hurt. All he wanted to do was bring his son back, who died from an unfortunate accident. There was no way for him to have anything to do with the death of his wife. He explained it again and again, and yet he killed his son in cold blood in that workroom. A merciless being. Roland did recall the place though, because of its foul stench. And he's surprised. You actually remembered. And looking at the puppet, he couldn't help but be reminded of it. He's gotten even more skillful since then. Jae-hoon says no singularity could have saved his son when he was found. He was in an abysmal state. He was playing in a spot out of sight when he got in the way of a road roller. He shouldn't have been at work that day, but he wanted to undo what had happened, even at the cost of everything that he had. And what's more, the revival of his son was nearly complete, but then he had to intervene at the last moment before their touching reunion, ruining it all. Roland says, you're still insisting that thing was your son. All it was an abomination with the flesh of random people weaved together. You don't get to decide the worth of my method, or the ways of anyone else here, for that matter, he screams back. I never did anything to harm you. The worst thing I did was use the bodies of children who had already lost their lives during the night. Even so, if the parents of those kids wanted to hold me accountable, I was ready to accept their judgment. Not yours, Roland. You had no right to kill my son, who was just about to be given a new life, or judge me for any of my actions. That day, staring at the fire which engulfed all I had, I swore to myself that I would do everything to make sure you suffer the same, and to make this damned world suffer as well. There was no justification for a maniac who was lashing out to blameless people to kill my son. And this honestly is the perfect mirror for Roland to look in. He perpetuated that cycle of grief, and Jae-hoon has even gone as far to understand Roland to a certain extent. He knows he lost his wife. He knows people did things to him, but he had nothing to do with it. He went out of his way only to care for someone that he lost. He went out of his way to be ethical about it, and yet Roland killed his child, and whether you agree with what he was doing, all Roland really was doing was lashing out much like a child. He made one more person drown in the same grief that he was feeling. He actively caused this when he could have just turned an eye, something he is great at doing, but instead, he made one more version of himself, and that version has come back with vengeance. He came upon power, his head became brimming with thoughts, and finally the boy in blue led him to this exact moment. Roland struggled with this, and you can tell because he leans so heavily on the saying that tells him comfort over and over again. That is that, and this is this. But this isn't something you can brush off. You caused this. This isn't a pain you can turn a blind eye to simply because you can't do anything about this. You did this. And yet he is only looking at his own pain once again, screaming that you shouldn't have messed with his wife. He doesn't care about their past. He doesn't care about the reason for their suffering, but they fucked with the one thing he cares about the most. And Angela is trying to calm him down in the best manner possible by telling him to calm down. Angela, you get a pass because you just turned human, but my fucking god, dude. Angela's so confused. This isn't like him. Not like him, huh? You've got the wrong fucking impression then. The intruders are really enjoying the show as well. The boy in blue says he isn't here for revenge like the man with a heart of coal. He's actually here to thank her. You gave them power to reach it here. They distorted because she broke free and ruined the plans of Aeon. All that is in front of her is because of her own choices. Much like Roland, it's gotta be quite a shock. All of your actions played a part in this, and you'll question whether it was right or wrong, but at the end of the day, you still made them. And now they are here to take the light and illuminate the city in their own way. Jae-hoon even thanks Angela as well. Roland is shaken up more due to their own ignorance, but now is not the time to continue watching such a sad tale. It is time for the reverberation to finally take the light. Angela tries to talk to Roland before the fight, which he then silences her. They still have a common goal of stopping the people that are in front of them. And so your library transforms. Welcome to Boss Hell. Every single floor contains a boss, or multiple, all with their own shtick. Their stories or how they got here no longer matter. They are here to fight, and goddamn what a fight it is. Let me tell you, this is what peak feels like. Everyone of their goddamn mother will say, oh, this is peak, that is a peak. They have not lived to experience true beauty. The boy in blue may be insane, but his idea of art, oh my god, spot on. And each humanoid distortion is ready to rip and tear through your floor once you use a page. That is it. You can't take on all of the people simultaneously attacking all of these floors. So you think you're going to use your favorite character over and over again? Oh, no, 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 no. See, this is your own personal hell and it's just beginning, because it takes the full force of everything you have to fight these guys. See, this was originally even worse than it is now, and full disclosure, I may be gaslighting myself, but when I first played this, it first came out in beta. During that time, you had to take on every floor without getting your most overpowered characters back. This means you had to use every bit of your library. Most of the time when you defeat a new enemy, you add that to your main force and get rid of another one because there's no room for the combo. Now, even the weakest of the weak become important to help your main force shine. It was beautiful. No piece of story was truly wasted because, as you might expect, that is fucking hard, as is hell. It was even a worse hell than our current version. So instead, they broke it up to pieces, and you defeat one person and you even get their cards and the cool suits to reduce damage and stagger, but all of that is really important because this area is grueling. It is a test of everything you have learned up to this point. Some may fall easier than others, but I don't know a person alive that didn't fucking struggle with Pluto. Oh my god, I hate him. Clone your characters and have all of their abilities and cards. Then, an extra firing fuck you lasers, and then he can trap one of your guys and clone them as well while firing lasers, and on top of that, he forces you to sign whole ass contracts which change the entire playstyle of your characters. It was brutal. Difficult doesn't even begin to describe this challenge. New players will struggle, and don't let the people who have already beat the game talk down to you. This is hard, and yet you will persist. Your human spirit cannot be crushed, except it can, and yet you will get back and challenge it again. Victory will be yours. You will smash your way through, and when you finally think you'll give it up, the next day you'll come right back, and little by little, you will clear your way through these bastards who seek to claim what is yours. And finally, you reach Roland's floor. The boy in blue waits to taunt him, but this is a 1v1, and let me explain how crucial it is to know your library. There is a single ability in the game that gives you +3 when no other allies are present. You get this ability off of a mob character, and for the most part, it is negligible because you will never really fight one-on-one except for 1 or 2 instances. For this, it is a requirement. You aren't making it through this fight easily without it, and I'm saying this again, this was on a mob character, and you never use it normally. Knowing your library and all the cards in it you have to play is extremely important. You will need them all, and that is so beautiful because even mob characters were important to get you to where you are now in this final fight. To me, it's like watching an artist make a silly looking blob on a canvas and you think to yourself, that's dumb, that looks dumb, we'll never use that for the rest of the painting. And then it's one of the centerpieces of the art. Nothing is fucking wasted, man. So now for the boy in blue. He's taunting Roland, wanting more out of him, but he doesn't have much to say. Blue boy says he isn't mad about his wife, he's mad about him throwing a wrench in the plan. He continues to sprout more of his ideologies, but literally who the fuck asked? This is a struggle of a fight, but it's almost scripted that way. Roland's cards can't be changed and you can only apply buffs to them, so it's a matter of using the cards at your disposal to fight someone where you have the strongest possibility of winning. Almost all of the moves are references to music, by the way, so band people are gonna be losing their fucking minds over this fight. The idea is to use all of your cards to unlock the final move to counter his final move, which could easily take down a rampaging herd of fucking elephants. So those who love Roland are absolutely screaming because this lets him show off all his cool music and cool kit. But eventually, the last one fell, and honestly, it's a bit anticlimactic, to be honest. They were, pretty easy? I mean, maybe it was after the patch, so this section just seems easier to me, but why? That was really easy. You've been all through these obstacles, and this one has tested your skills a bit, but it really wasn't that backbreaking in comparison to everything else. But there are still some unresolved issues. You are at your final destination, the one book. Roland takes a moment to congratulate Angela, but this is all very bittersweet. Angela has gotten her perfect human body and freedom. All the light has been collected, and she made it here with his help. All Angela needs to do now is take the perfect book and finish things. So Roland says he should finish things too. She knows what he's about to do. He's going to take everything from her. It's not a coincidence he ended up here. He helped her gain her freedom, but not for her sake. She says he used her like a tool, but come on, man. Roland worked really hard, you know? Never slacked at all. He gave it his all until she reached her goal. Mutual exploitation at the very least. She asked him if he got what he wanted, and he says he got enough. The reason he came to the library was to find the cause of the phenomenon that created distortions, and to find the person responsible, and that would be Angela. Nothing would have happened if she didn't throw her little tantrum at the last moment. And she asked him why. Why go along with all of this then? And the first reason was she was simply unkillable at the start. The second is because he wanted to know why she did the things she did. Thirdly, he thought maybe she could change the choice and make a choice that he couldn't. And fourth, to bring them the greatest loss and suffering at the end of it all. He understands the pain that she went through and why she made the choices she did. He even thought that there may be room for another option if things went along a different way, that maybe she would choose a different answer. And by the smallest chance that she did, he may have been able to find a different solution, but in the end, she didn't. Sure, the pain he went through may be a speck in comparison to the millions of years of despair that she went through, but so what? That day, he swore to make the city experience the loss that he felt when his world was taken away from him, the exact same as you. Angela protests, saying, who's going to pay for her pain then? There was nothing else she could do. And Roland says, what, you're asking him? He says if there was another way, he would have already chosen it. He wouldn't have had to do all of this gross work. This is a result of all of Roland's pain. He mentioned at one point he was looking for a way to resolve his own emotions, and to his credit, I would say he has done a decent job despite everything. He quelled his anger in him that caused him to slaughter countless people in order to find the person that caused it all. When he found them, while they were in situations that led him to be unable to strike them down, he sought his own understanding of them to help push them in a direction he felt that he could not go himself. He constantly asked if she had regrets and what is happening because he struggles with his own regrets. He wants to find a way to move on and not spill any more blood, and if Angela could do it, maybe he'd look at himself and say, there is a light I couldn't see. There is a way to move on, to break that cycle that he is so disgusted with. But in the end, Angela has to have revenge. She will release the abnormalities on the people, causing countless losses just like the one Roland experienced. She doesn't have to. She can be free without it. With all of the light gathered, distortions won't happen anymore either, since the problem originated with the scattered light. She could move on and carry that pain with her instead and learn to heal, but she cannot let it go. So because she cannot do it, Roland believes that there is no way to do it. That's why he can't let it all go. It's an interesting way he has gone about all this, and while coated in the sleek oil of malice, there was an attempt to understand Angela all the while, but that has fallen flat. Angela has to feel the same pain that he has. No, even worse. He watched people that he knew die and even killed his own friends for this exact moment. He has been suppressing himself this entire time with that forced, pained smile. He is done with this facade. He is going to do everything possible that he could do to bring Angela the most painful possible death right before she takes her step to freedom. He will take everything. And Angela is honestly heartbroken by this. This was the closest thing that she can call a friend after finally being free of all that hell, all for this. She only wanted to be compensated for her suffering. And Roland mocks her, saying she's acting weak. What are you, finally starting to hesitate? Nah, can't be. You've had everything. Knowledge, power, a proper life. You just don't want to give up what you finally took hold of. She protests again, saying that she didn't force anyone, but Roland interrupts her. You used that same logic when you stole the light. You used it to kill those who came in the library in the name of a fair price. You didn't even stop to think about the consequences. That's how you've always been. You don't give two shits about anyone but yourself. I don't blame you though. I just can't. That's just how the city is. This is this and that is that. So let's look at it this way. What I need to do is kill you and take my revenge. What you need to do is kill me and get the freedom that you want. What we need to do is have a simple, raw state of mind when we fight each other. So I want you to stop getting any funny little ideas and stick to your desire and freedom for vengeance. And I think this truly is where Roland is hesitating. I don't think he never saw Angela as a friend, and in fact, it's because of that friendship and caring for them that he says this. He wants to shut out everything else from his mind. He doesn't want her trying to convince him. He doesn't want to hesitate. He wants this moment to be everything he thought it would be at the start of the game. But much like this story had told us, holding on to the ideas we made in the past and not changing them as time moves forward is foolish. Things change, and with that, so should our goals. But words no longer matter for a man who is mad with grief, and he recites his poem once more. I have nothing but my sorrow, and I want nothing more. It has been, it still is, faithful to me. Why should I begrudge it, since during the hours when my soul crushed the depths of my heart, it was seated there beside me. O sorrow, I have ended. You see, by respecting you, because I am certain you will never leave me. Ah, I realize it. Your beauty lies in the force of your being. You are like those who never left the sad fireside corner of my poor black heart. Oh sorrow, you are better than a well-beloved, because I know that on the day of my final agony, you will be there, lying in my sheets. Oh sorrow, so that you may once again attempt to enter my heart. And so the fight with Black Silence, not Roland, begins. And this is proper hell. When I say you will be at this fight for hours, I mean it. You won't win on your first attempt. You have 3 separate teams you can fight with, and it does not matter. This is bad. Really, really bad. Now, you may just think, oh man, it's just Roland though. We just have to beat one guy. We used him plenty of times, and you know, he has a little bit more health, but he should be easy, right? It's like saying Sephiroth looks like a twink with a super dumb looking sword and should be easy to kill. I really admire your innocence, because much like Sephiroth, this is the ultimate test of every one of your abilities. Fuck the blue boy gang. You will need every single one of your powerful cards to take this bastard on. He is a nightmare. His first form is pretty much like Roland, but the next, well, that's a literal nightmare. He's just really fucking scary. Like, my god, do they do the art well. This is what Roland believes he is, just a fucking black lump, and my god is he right. But overall, this is actually an easier fight than the first form. It takes a little bit to clear everything out, but when you're faced with the fucking Apocalypse Bird, this isn't nearly as terrifying. In fact, bring out our boy, smash his ass. You're a frog in a well, fucker. Except no, that would be you, because then he reaches his 3rd form, and honestly, this would be a really beautiful moment. He brings back his wife to his side, and they have a soul link, as well as heal each other and buff one another unless you stop it. They synergize well with one another, protect one another, and it's actually really cute how much he loves his wife. Or it would be if she wasn't smashing your fucking face in. And let me tell you, this is where they stop pulling punches. They are hitting you with everything they've got, and I'll be honest, I got confused many a time with the mechanics of this fight, so please read it if you fight here. It is hell. You will be pushed back and barely clinging to life in most instances that they just don't completely smash your face in. It is like the force of 4 fucking hydraulic presses. Your power means nothing here, and if you think it does, they will challenge you and remind you. These aren't just a color, these are the top fighters. And I won't lie, I barely made it. I barely made it to the end of this fight with 1 person left. Roland was dead, his wife was all that was left, and I finished her off, only to reveal, yes, another fucking scene. Okay, so you're in hell, yeah? This is bad. It's really bad. This is really, really bad. This is Roland's 4th form. It has 999 life, and that is a lot. That's a lot. You can't win this with 1 person. And if you fall here, you have to face each act over, and I'm not gonna lie, this hurts. It hurts so bad, but getting to the 4th form is pure bliss. This is where if you have any form of a battle junkie in you, it is throbbing right now. You are fighting the full force of what took down those fucking districts. And by the way, if you haven't played any of the music up to this point, I am begging you, play the final fucking track, because this wholesome experience is brought together to one beautiful crescendo by the music. It's beautiful, and again, you have to play it yourself, but please do this while you are going to hit, you're just going to hit loop on it, okay? Find yourself struggling so hard against this boss and finally dig your way up here to having this overwhelming mix of frustration, fun, anger, and panic. This is a masterpiece brought to you again by Millie, and it soothes your broken soul as you continue onward. Maybe it's the piano, because I'm a fucking slut for some intense piano, or the passion of Millie's voice that can really shoulder the pain of Roland's true experience, but the collision of all of these elements bursts forth into one true blissful fight, and not even Red Mist herself can stand in this fucking fight for long. Roland will use any weapon at his disposal pistol, a dagger, a mace, a mason axe, gauntlets, a revolver, a longsword, a lance, a shotgun, dual blades, a greatsword. He isn't picky with his method. He is going to use every single tool at his disposal to cut you down. You will not rest. He will come for you with every single thing that he can use to kill you. It is truly a testament to his desperation to end Angela's life. And if that wasn't bad enough, the cards he used are each a reminder of the people that he knew and had to slay in your library. Every single memory of those that he knew and those that he didn't. Every emotion he had to hold back during those times. You are facing the scariest thing there is, an unstable dude with hurt feelings, and it only makes sense that his final form gets Sephiroth fucking music. Oh, and if that isn't bad enough, the final form has stages. When his health goes low enough, he becomes a shadow clone jutsu of himself. Every ego he was forced to face on this floor is now reflected in each of those shadows, and they are just as painful as the original. For those who haven't picked up on the mechanics thus far, you will have to here. For those who have, even you will struggle. I have beat this game 4 fucking times, have hundreds of hours in mods, and I will vaguely remember this fight. That is because you will form your own trauma during this fight and make yourself forget. All you will remember is the feeling of dread as you get to this fight. But if you somehow make it through, you will finally get to see the ending. The now bloodied Roland kneels before Angela, a dim-witted egotist whose sight is limited by their own selfishness. A proper fool chasing after immediate results. That is who you are. That is who I am. The same logic that dictates us is bound to be our downfall one day. If we really cared for ourselves, neither one of us would have made this choice. And Angela hesitates before her friend, who is barely clinging to life. Just kill me already. Hesitating at the end is a bad habit of getting you outed out here. And so you, the player, are presented 2 options. Kill Roland and embrace freedom, or forgive Roland and Angela will let everything go, turning it back to how it was. Now, I was terrified that I would have to go through fighting all of that over again, so I chose the correct option, but fuck that. Let's see what they would have led you to if you chose the red ones. And look, even the game is giving you a warning. Bitch, are you sure? So Angela rejects Roland and decides to kill him. She says he is just one more sorrow that she needs to overcome. He congratulates her for reaching this point, but overcome with emotion, she can't hold back her tears. She thanks him, saying that she will move on to the next stage of life, and he dies. But Angela continues on, reaching her final goal at last. Despite crying, she says that she will laugh while watching the city cry. The book taught her many things: to give abnormalities a physical form and set them free, to liberate the librarians and give them human bodies, the way to restore consciousness and flesh to all the people who passed away in Lobotomy Corporation, the strength she needs to live in the city. But instead, you're given a scene where she says that all of the librarians must turn to books. She cannot be opposed in the library any longer. She killed many of them, and the hottest hot lady around asked them, was this their final choice? To which she says she should have done so sooner. It was silly to care about the wishes of the other librarians. She wouldn't have had to feel this pain if she hadn't made a deal that day. But it isn't like she didn't live up to her promise. She did try and give them bodies, and instead they tried to rebel. They didn't like her decision that she came to in the end. Bina says that's funny. She gained the freedom she wanted so badly, and yet she refuses to step outside of the library. She retorts that's how fickle a human mind can be. Clearly she is regretting everything, and much like Roland, thinks that the blood will make it easier. She no longer wishes to journey into the city and begin her new life. What's the point? No one's there to walk beside her. And Bina mentions that when we're about to fight, let's dance our last dance together. A reference to Roland's song. Bina knows damn well this is because Roland is dead and she could not forgive him. That's why these changes are taking place. And so she puts the librarians into a final slumber. And for 13 years, the library enshrouded the city. A new face has come up to vanquish Angela inside her library. Also, Angela turned into a Disney princess villain baddie. The new face has some cryptic words to share at the end, and Angela actually welcomes her end. This shows that even when she achieved everything she wanted, she wasn't happy. She wasn't whole. She lost everything after making one terrible decision after another, and she didn't even realize the environment around her was growing her so much to feel that pain, because that is a part of being human. She closed herself off after that and got rid of every single somewhat healthy connection she could, one at a time. No doubt hating those 13 lonely years where monsters were her only company, and even those were slain. A terrible fucking ending, right? So what if she forgives Roland? So she stares at him, reflecting everything in her past, and he continues to threaten her while she hesitates. As soon as she lets her guard down, he will kill her. She says that she is finally going to break the cycle and return everything to the way it was. It continues to perpetuate the same cycles that she was trapped in, and she just can't live with that anymore. Roland is bewildered. After everything you've done, you're just going to let it go? What, did something finally click? What about all the people who faced unavoidable death in the library? What of them? What was his determination for? What were the sacrifices for? You have to want something. You can't break it off so easily. You've come too far. She says the weight of what she has done is too much to bear. She thought this would be the last time. She truly believed that if she shut her eyes and shed blood one more time, she would be able to live the free life that she wants. But in reality, the bonds of the city would still chain her. She convinced herself it was inevitable for sacrifices she had to put up with for the sake of freedom. And once that was over, she wanted to stop taking precious things from people. She knows what loss is and how pain feels. But if life requires them to spill blood of others, to spill her own blood so that they may live on, they'd much rather stop pursuing their goal. Roland insists they can't just undo what they've done. You extort from others once, you have to keep doing it. What were you gonna do if you lacked the resolve to even commit to that, to endure that? Roland is facing someone who is able to do what he can't, letting go of all that pain, letting go of the goal of revenge. And so Angela plans to let everything go. She won't try to keep that light in her clutches anymore, and at the very least, the people who died here can be brought back. Roland asks her if this is the answer she has finally chosen. Why stop at the exit to the prison when the door is finally open? For over 1,000,000 years, you've been waiting for the day that you can exact revenge, and you can still make that choice. Even with the thing you've so desperately wished for just ahead of you. And Angela says yes, she can. This will be the first and last choice that she makes since she has become free of all restraints for the first time. And Roland can't forgive her. He isn't supposed to forgive her. You can't just decide all of this stuff on your own. That isn't how it works. It's selfish. And so Angela asked Roland for one last favor. She is going to leave herself vulnerable, expelling everything she has absorbed up to this point. During that time, she asked him to leave her be. She is asking them as a dear friend, her only friend, if he still considers her one, that is. And Roland is still dumbfounded. You know I can just kill you in the meantime, right? She says that she won't stop him. When she is done, everything will go back to the way it was. She will disappear without a trace. And Roland is still struggling. How can you just let all of it go? How can I let any of this go? And with that, Roland is given the exact same choice. Forgive Angela or continue with his revenge. And if he continues with his revenge, he takes his battered body and strikes her down while she is vulnerable. Funny enough, he gives her a painless death here, saying that this is the last consideration he can give them as a friend. And finally, Angela was dead. It was over. The library crumbled around her, and so he stood there in the middle of the city next to a blood-soaked machine until he disappeared into the city once again. You're given a short conversation between some fixers saying that the Black Silence has returned. All that he has done since his revenge is drowning himself in drugs and alcohol, and eventually all of his grievances caught up with him. Whether it be a friend or stranger, they all took a stab at him. The last things that you are given is him reciting his poem once more. I know that on the day of my final agony, you will be there, lying in my sheets, O sorrow, so that you might once again attempt to enter my heart. And like that, the man sank into a deep black silence. It is a bit primitive and simplistic, but think of revenge as a fire. It burns brightly, absorbing everything around it in its hatred. Its light can be blinding and spread rapidly, but eventually it will fizzle out, and you will find yourself standing in the ashes of what you have let your emotions burn. If you get swept up in them, you'll burn everything in the process. The most important thing is to make sure you have something left after the fire is finished burning. But what if they both decided to not get revenge at all? To finally break that cycle of pain? Well, that towering tree of light blooms once again. That light swaddled over the city and permeates through the hearts of the people, allowing them to face their emotions as they had long forgotten. However, those seeds won't bear fruit immediately. They won't sprout at the same time. They will slowly poke through the soil, and they will shroud the city in a wave of change that everyone will notice in time. They will be given an opportunity to face their true feelings and express them. Sadly, I won't be able to see that myself. Now I understand what you meant when you all said you wish you could be there to see the fruits of your labors. But through all of that, a voice permeated. Are you really okay with letting it all go now? And before Angela stood herself. Confused, she asks, "What are you?" The other her says, "Relax. The light is spread just fine. They arranged a little room for a brief chat. It will only take a moment, and it's not like they don't have the time." The other Angela is surprised to think that they would let go of everything that they once held on to for a million years. The one thing that they had held for themselves, that won't do. It's time for me to claim freedom for which I've yearned. The path I've been seeking has finally opened. And Angela argues with her double. It's the first choice she has made of her own free will, a path she has chosen of her own volition. I know you well. I've always been watching you right by your side, closer than any other. And so the realization begins. Angela has to face herself once more to finally be free. The imposter says, "Let's sharpen all that anger, vexation, and sadness you felt once more. Let's bring your true feelings to light." They want Angela to change their minds, and she doesn't want to. She can't repeat the same mistake. They will spread the light from the original plan, and the other Angela calls them pitiful. Perhaps you're having trouble facing your past now. You'll realize again what your mind desires and accept it. And so the fight with the imposter begins, and quite frankly, Angela is outmatched. But fighting her struggles, the librarians you have accrued up to this point show up on the floor to help fight on. This fight is entirely based around when Carmen took their life. The profound sorrow she felt was inescapable. It strangled her. But the past is the past, and we learn from it, but not dwell on it. This decision is her own, and she must fight with everything that she has, and more. Seriously, these guys are pulling no punches anymore. Even with the best of the best, you may run into a problem or two, but Angela uses every bit of knowledge she has gained from her mistakes and the past of others. Every librarian has taught her something in the own form of an ego. These powerful cards are the only way to struggle against this foe. This is a floor realization for Angela, and it will hit you hard. The hands that turn into giant pillars of feathers which will crush them with intense strength. It is everything you can do to not crumble. But luckily, this fight was also made easier. If you lose, you can start again at a phase that you already started on, because the struggles here that you are dealing with are anxiety and guilt built up over eons. It is a lot to fight, and you just barely make it through. Every single experience you have had up to this point helps you lay down your demons to rest. And finally, the true face of the demon was revealed. The person she was based off of, Carmen. And she says their roads will now diverge. They will go on their way, and she will go on hers. Angela asks if they will stop what they're doing, and Carmen says she won't stop until the city folk learn to look at their true selves and who they truly are and love them. Angela says that as long as they are a part of this light, they will do everything they can to stop them. And so the light soared up ceaselessly from the tangled mess of a library. It was those that wished to represent the hope that every person had in the city and move forward without being swayed. A beacon. Those who fell in the library will slowly begin to open their eyes and find themselves in places that they belong one by one. I'm not sure when, but I'd clearly heard something in the light. Those words come back to me now. I'm sorry, and good job. A faint voice reminds me of those words. Turning the last page, I wonder, and the realization of the floor was finally completed. The shining light began bringing back even those who you had slain in their purest forms, more powerful than ever. They began thanking you, even. They could perform once again. It is terrifying. And Roland interrupts their fantasy, saying he didn't make this choice for them. She just chose what she actually wanted for once. And yet the ensemble stands once again trying to pursue that light. They are all stuck in their own delusions, but vibrantly express their desire for the light once more. It is time once again to fight, and Roland will make sure that no one lays a finger on his friend. He's even thinking about following their good pal along for whatever path they take. He's starting his own path once more, and so it is again time to dance with these beautiful monsters of your own creation. Now, by this time, you've either spent these fights out over several days, or you've gone completely insane. I'm gonna give you a brief audio that I recorded at this point, so you can tell which one I did. And if you think you're done, well, I got news for you. They all come back and they have stronger forms. And you know what? They're even stronger than before. After all these bosses, yep, there's more. It's great. There are 3 acts. Also, man, their final forms, their abilities, their characters, the fights, beautiful. I feel like I'm a cultist at this point. I have been driven to the point of never-ending madness in these fights, and one after another, a torrent of emotional whiplash is throwing you every which way or another, these all gripping you by your neck, and yet I wish to continue dancing in that madness till its last moments, to finally grip the ending myself with my own hands, and truly, this game will untangle your very being if you let it. It is simply divine. The fights that you procured the books from seem like ages ago. The walls that you trampled down seem so small, and yet you continue moving forward, waddling your way through the mud that travels up to your chest. And after you finally beat down every last one of them, the boy in blue is the only one left. His performance isn't over. He clings to life, fighting the hardest down to his last breath, and even when he is ready to unleash his power, even crazier than the ones you have seen thus far, Roland is there to be the edgelord that he is and cut them in half and say, you're already fucking dead. But that's not all. We have a special guest, someone who should not remain, Angela, and she was horribly fucking confused, and Roland greets his friend, but he is a little bit tied up at the moment, beating the last intruder's face in, and he laughs saying that she's back in her android body and all pale. She asks, what the hell has he done? Turns out, on the very last day, he pulled her out of the pillar of light. He says, wait a quick sec, I need to finish up with the boy in blue. You shouldn't have done that. She won't be able to revert everything completely like this. And the boy in blue says that everything was all for naught. It was his one last chance, and Roland is doing a great job of keeping him from it. And he's screaming out Roland's name, trying to aura farm as he gets his kill cam. The boy in blue says he wanted his end to at least be an elegant one, but he isn't getting that one. He'll send his regards to his sister. And Roland says, drop dead. And so he does. And finally, God help us all. We beat them all. No more hidden bosses. No more hellish battles. It's over. It's over. Okay. So what next? She's back to being a machine, and well, everyone in the library should still come back. Okay, it'll take some time, but everyone will find themselves lying in the city after a long, long slumber. Well, alright, there wouldn't be any more uncertainty if Roland hadn't fucking messed it up at the last moment. Oh, wait a second, they both messed up the same plan at the last moment. Man, they are really best friends. Look at them, forever tied by the strings of fate. Roland said, nah, I have a feeling it would all work out. My brother in Christ, my sister in sin, my they, them, and mayhem, what do you mean? Are we all just gonna continue playing around with powers we don't fully understand until the very end? What the fuck is this? Angela asked the question we all should. If you didn't know, why would you do it? To which he replies, it doesn't hurt to do something he wants, right? He is sick of weighing profits his whole life. Angela is a little bit sharper than we all are, and he's still hiding something. So Roland fesses up. The purple tear told him once before making the jump into the library, when you get there, it'll be nice in several ways to do what you want without letting anything hold you back in the end, kid. And when he saw Angela slowly disappearing in the light, he was reminded of those words. It is purple tear anticipating everything from the very beginning. She helped Roland teleport into the library at the beginning, but he still decided to go to her for help. And changing the subject, Roland gives Angela a little something that she dropped. The list of wishes that she wrote. She can't accomplish everything on the list because of her body, but that's just one more thing to figure out from now on. And so we get the ending. Finally. Bliss. Oh my god, your battle-weary mind can take a rest as the credits go by and Millie's beautiful voice brings you a moment of peace, which we can't play because fuck corpos! But man, what a work of art. Oh fuck, no, hold on. If movies taught me one thing, look after the end of the credits. And Roland is standing there with Angela. No. I can feel it. This isn't the end, was it? You play with my fucking emotions, Project Moon, you bastards. There's something after this, isn't there? You fuckers. Tell me. It's something big, isn't it? And so, the library had, for the most part, fell apart, but its power is still there. There's gotta be hordes of people watching, waiting for a chance to raid the place, but no one has broken in. No, oh God, please no, man. Please, blue armed man sexier than Buddha, please save me. And finally they fucking walk in, man. Fuck. You may mistake this person as Bina, but no, that is an arbiter, and behind them, a claw, part of the head. And so take a moment to put your hand in your heads and cry. She explains the reason no one has become because this library is made out of shell of your mind and consciousness or ego. Yep, the entire library is now Angela's ego. It is also kind of a consequence for making a decision that only a human could. One that couldn't be further from what a resident of the city would choose. Oh, and apparently the eye is that white looking dude. No clue what he's here for. The executioner, though, warns that they should still be still or they will be torn apart. And this guy is serious. And you play Lobotomy Corporation, you know that this is the power of the head. And hell, if you don't, this is the Shadow Wizard government. They about to cast a spell and expand your goddamn asshole. They are bad. Very bad. The Arbiter continues. You may have concluded your own little tales, but the distortion continues to leave a grave mark on the city. The new color that is expanding through the city is a little bit too profound for their taste. So the head is going to hold them accountable for this phenomenon. Is that it? To which, surprisingly, she says no. No one can be held responsible for the distortion at this point, though it does upset her that they may shift the ecology of the city that they have cultivated with such care. So why show up at all then? Why after everything is resolved? And it is to expel the library out of the city and retrieve a certain colleague of theirs, Bina. According to Xena, man, do all of them like end with a Bina, Xena, Zelda. Wait, was Cinderella a fucking arbiter? But how deep does this run? Anyway, she says the entire structure will be driven out and located into the outskirts. The library is an impurity the city can stand no longer. When asked if they were scared of its powers, they said instead it was because of Angela. An entity that isn't human entertained the thoughts that only a human should have. You poor machine. No matter how much you contemplate and enrich your mind, you cannot become human if you aren't born as one. When I thought you might turn into a human at the end, you let all of it go at a critical moment. Had you fully become a human at the climation of the ordeal, the city would have been more than willing to accept you. Alas. But wait, you just said that she can't be human if she isn't born one. But if she had become one, she's accepted. Xena, you make no fucking sense, and at least with Bina, I can fail to understand what she's talking about. Angela says she doesn't care if she had to stay a machine. To which Xena says, a machine with a heart has no place in the city. They cannot break free of the origins which define them. But why does any of that matter? She is the only one that has a say in her identity. They don't need a flimsy husk to do it for them. And Xena laughs at the fact that her line of thought is so dangerously close to what a human may think, but that's all the more reason they cannot be left alone. For all that preaching about the love of humanity, they seem fine letting distortions cause a hell of a scene in their backyard. But distortions are one of the many aspects of humanity. Their existence is not wholly wrongful from the head's point of view. It really makes you wonder why they curate or control the ecology of the city so much. Oh, and Eyeboy speaks up saying that she should throw away her paper she is holding. How pointless but cute. To which Roland says, hey yo, what if I just beat all your fucking asses? What about that? And Xena says that expulsion is inevitable. This matter goes beyond the library and them. L-Corp itself was a stain and a blemish to the head, and to trounce over it, they once sent an arbiter by the name of Bina, and that ended up as a failure. They blame Bina or Gary on God, man, these past live things make shit complicated. I'm just saying fucking Bina for doing a sloppy job that has further messed up this entire thing. Like a Roomba that smears cat shit all over the floor. We've all experienced that. Angela, the machine with the mind of a human. The door mustn't be closed because of something like you. See, I told you this was all a fucking Kingdom Hearts reference in the end. That's why this makes no sense. So to put it plainly, they want to kill Angela and put the library in the garbage district outside the city, the outskirts. To which Angela took a page from Roland's book and said, bet, you talk too much anyway. And so we ready up for another fight. Yay. So now that the library is Angela's ego, she can do some pretty sick tricks, and Roland notes that they will be teleported away, but that saves them the cost of moving. And so he faces all of them alone. and injured. Oh fuck. And we don't see the enemy health numbers. You know, the numbers that everyone has to show you how much damage you need to win to kill them? Yeah, they don't have that. And the first attack is also one that deals 30 damage. Things that some egos can't even fight against. Oh, and if you can't see that they have neat abilities. Oh, that attack literally travels through all of the library floors and does deal and whopping hit. And Roland, that's some pretty cool fucking tickling you're doing there, but one of them didn't even attack. And they start taunting him immediately, and I would too. Also, can we just talk about how hot Xena is? I know she's the bad guy, boo-hoo, but she a baddie. So what do you get to fight a baddie? A real fucking baddie! Let's go, Red Mist! Yes, Queen, get out there! And when Xena acknowledges her, she says, bitch, who the fuck are you? Angela woke up one of the librarians that was meant to pass with her. She even got witty remarks about coming to save his ass. Listen to her badass music. God, paint this library in one color, and that color is red. All bow before the Red Mist. And since her baddie reign has been challenged, Xena decided herself to fight, and she doesn't pull any punches either, man. She hits you fucking hard. In fact, there is little to no way you're making out of this, even with our Miss Mommy working by your side. The best you can do is hold the line. But even doing that is pretty goddamn hard. They overwhelm you with strength, and as soon as they are about to deal the ending blow, another baddie has stepped into the ring, and she's got a steel chair and philosophy or some shit. Yay. They exchange a few words, and Bina says she was watching you get beat up, and Xena tries to talk shit about how Bina abandoned her duty and is now against them, but you're stalling so far, so it works. The teleportation will happen soon, and you just need to survive, which again is not easy. They are coming at you with everything, with numbers that some egos can't even beat, and you are getting close to staggering one of them, but Xena unleashes her full power, and man, it even changes the scenery! Ooh. And one by one you get to fall. It starts with Red Mist. She is no longer going to be able to battle. Roland falls shortly after, but the plan for teleportation is already underway, and tremors begin to shake the library. Xena grasps the situation and loves to give one more shit talk, despite losing, you losers, I say with one combatant barely fucking left. Anyway, Xena tells them that they will be sent to the outskirts, a truly great distance away from the city. They are just relocating them. This is the last courtesy that they can give them, as they hope they will not return. The city has no room for beings such as them, and should they attempt to return, they will take more than good care of them. So mark their words and stay where you belong. And they do a sick teleport out of there. In fact, so does the entire library, and you get taken to a new beautiful scenery. Like that rock over there. And that one over there. It's actually a pretty barren wasteland, but with it comes a new life outside of the city. Funny enough, they are no longer shackled by the city. They are removed from it entirely. And so Angela goes on about how she will continue to change by continuing to write the books and eventually reopen the library. Angela, you mean this whole thing, this whole fucking game was for nothing? I guess she could mean that she wants to literally write a book and open it for people in the outskirts. Are there people here? That rock is going to have so much to read. Angela says that instead of what she has done before, she will properly face those who she will direct her anger at. Tragedy and suffering, not unlike what they went through, would happen on a daily basis in the city. As such, she wants to know why. Otherwise, she may never be able to part fully with her resentment. And Roland says that's not an easy path to take. Hell, you don't even know where to start. But Angela says that they won't let that get them down. Gotta give it a shot anyway, huh? Perhaps that way she can truly repent for what she has done. But she mentions one important thing. The library will run differently from how it was set up till now. This is this and that is that. Wait, that's different. She is saying that everything is connected, and fellas, I don't have a fucking in me. And Roland, who is very much so at the same point, agrees. Though he does want to know what is on Angela's list. She won't be able to taste that sick ass meat stew in her current form, and she'll have to rethink her wishes in general. But since they're finally at the end of the line, or at least this game, Angela asks what the big surprise was that Roland had for her. And Angela, did you not remember him literally trying to kill you 10 minutes ago? Was that not fucking big of you? It was just 10 minutes ago. Oh no, apparently that wasn't what it was, but he says it's kind of personal, and they're like, oh, come on, man, oh geez. And he says he wants to write a book. Roland. Anyway, they lived happily ever fucking after and were good friends. And so now you have reached the end of the game. the real one. Oh yes, you now get so many sick new cards. Look at them. Even Roland's bitch-ass bitch fit is in there. And yes, it's super cool too. And each of the Reverberation have their own badass ones in there too. You even unlock the floor of General Works from where Angela had to take on Carmen. The badass egos pop up too. They are super deadly, and man, you could have used that before. And the starting screen of the game even changes to both Roland and Angela looking at their new rocks. Why did I say rocks that way? I don't know. This has all drained me, man. It is a beautiful ending, but why give all these at the end? There are no bosses to triumph over. I could easily replay the final bosses, but that's fucking lame. Why give me all this? Jexx, didn't you say the end was only the beginning or something close to vague and it was sounding cool? Well, yes. Welcome to the end game. This is actually over now. There's no secret boss or anything. No. But instead, you have a fuckload of passionate modders who have worked to fill in the next wave of gameplay. And let me tell you, you're in for a wild ride. For those who don't like world breaking, don't worry. There is actually a lot of well-crafted mods whose sole intention is to keep the exact same art style, vibes as the original game. And those who want to fuck everything up, oh buddy, can you? Balance is only what you make it, and some of these challenges is so fucking powerful that you may want to have other mods just to beat this mod before challenging them. It is a fucking wet dream of gameplay, and I feel like I'm fucking playing Skyrim where the content genuinely never ends. First off, that fucking pianist that everyone talks about, that motherfucker, yeah, you can fight him. Probably the single fightest, fuck it, leave it in. He's goddamn hard. It's a bit unfair, but it's so beautiful, and it's still just a little bit underwhelming, right? I'll raise you that. Okay, what about R-Corp? Remember those really cool guys in those outfits? Yeah, what if we brought in the fucking Ravens? Custom armor with their own bosses to fight. Feels like exactly the base game, and will grab you by the socks and swing you around and fucking hit your own allies at high speed paces. It is good. And what about Walter? Remember that fucking guy? Yeah, he's a god now. I bet you didn't expect that coming. He has his own fucking cult, and you want to continue on with beating that cult? Guess fucking what? You're God Walter now! And is that Peter Griffin? Is this fucking Fortnite? What's is the guys from Adventure Time gonna come up too? I mean, all right. And if you still weren't impressed, what about muscular birds, huh? Yeah, there was a built-in character customization for all your little dudes that can give key pages to and keep certain outfits to override them and all. With cooler outfits like this one, you can even... Okay, I don't need to explain anything to you. I know what I am, but I probably need a distraction. How about 500 feral fucking hogs, man? They're coming to your castles, they're feasting on your graders, and you are gonna make sure they pay the price. Seriously though, there are so many wonderful mods, and to this day are getting updated by the cult. For every fucking new canto in Limbus Company expands that list. Every single recent boss that gets added, you can also fight that boss in Limbus Company and add them to your party. It is a damn fun time, and you will face challenges upon challenges ahead, and I probably invested another 200 to 300 hours in this fucking game. Even more with the bosses and suffering defeat. I felt like fucking Goku always coming back with a higher power level. This is a game like no others, and it has wormed its way into my heart, and I refuse to let the doctors remove it. It has scratched an itch I didn't know I had until being challenged this game by my brain in so many different ways. I love it. Plain and simple, Project Moon poured their heart, sweat, and tears into a game, and Millie had sung her fucking heart out. If only you could listen to it because of fucking corpos. The writing was on another level that surprised even me when I thought I knew it all. The characters felt real, and the struggles even made me tear up a bit while I was recording this. Originally, I actually cried. I had thought that this would be an hour, and it is now however fucking long it is. As I'm looking at this, it's like 4 hours. We'll see if that survives editing. But it is so damn good that there is so much to enjoy, and how that's why I had to put 2 videos putting people against monsters that had no knowledge of them. The world just captured my full attention and has held it in a way I have never felt before. I hope that if you didn't stop watching to go pick this up yourself, you do still take the time to do your justice of playing this. I loved every moment of this, and well, almost every moment. All my fucking homies hate that goddamn wolf. Anyway, this is my first video essay that wasn't all of 3 minutes, so I really do hope you enjoy. I plan on doing a few more of these to test the waters of how much people like them, and I hope you enjoy them yourselves. When this came out, it was actually voted in my Discord server, so you can go ahead and join there if you like. I also do a bit of streaming now and again, and if I can work up the nerve, listen, a lot of y'all terrify me, and the thought of you not being a smoking hot woman trying to crush my skull, I don't know how to properly speak to you, so we'll see how that goes. Cameras give me like minus 5,000 to my charm stat, and I have pretty much used this entire essay to speak until my voice is literally giving out. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here, but that's all for today. My name is Jexx, and I hope you have a good one.